good, good morning, good afternoon. This is time here. This Dave from the US, but that's also put up in the we are getting live and there from Liberia. We want to welcome our viewers and listeners across the globe. Thank you for joining us. So, one time, I'm here with this one, and I'll be with just Edinburgh, and I will be speaking. To other people share the live podcast out. Very shortly, we will get this program on the road. Today, we're going to be playing out with Madam MacDELLA. So, very different ways of the Republic of Liberia. So, just take a about a little bit of here, and very shortly, we will be with you here in today's of this program, the Liberian War today. Stay tuned. All right, folks, we want to welcome our viewers and listeners across the globe. I am Apostle to right here this morning here, the opportunity time. So we have a little bit I have another standing in your daily prayer. You will be a part of welcome to the show. This is the Liberian War. For it, the sound is okay. We want to welcome our viewers and listeners across the globe. Thank you for joining us here this morning. Here is 11:07 Eastern Standard Time. This is the Liberian War Today. Julius, just give me a thumbs up if there's a better here. There's a change in time here, so probably it's also killing us here. What we want to welcome our viewers and listeners across the globe. Thank you for your time this morning, this afternoon in Liberia. And we say to our sister network, the Sky Communication team, we want to thank them so much for giving us this opportunity for having such this sort of news content sharing. We want you to use to share this video, this podcast. I will be hosting one of the presidential hopeful in the 2023 presidential elections in Liberia. Very shortly, she's going to be joining me. And right after the conversation, we will be having the post discussions, our analysts, contributors, standing by cross country, will profile, will dissect. And of course, we will also, as usual, get a pick from our audience and our viewers tuning into this program. By the way, another layer is being added to this podcast. We are now live on LinkedIn as well. Twitter, you can monitor us on live on Liberia Public Radio, Facebook page, Sky Communication Facebook page, both YouTube, Twitter as well. So there are so multiple ways that you can get us as we try to keep the conversation proportional and discuss the issues ahead facing our country. It is vital that all of us have this sort of genuine conversation, not necessarily the entertainment part that is being incited into this industry. Very shortly, my guest will be coming on. Just bear with us. And as soon as she comes on, we're going to be having this conversation. By the way, your comments, your tweet can come live on our Facebook feed. We want to let you know we will not be taking phone calls. This is a serious business, and we want to hear directly from these candidates where they stand on critical issues. It is important that we dialogue, we have a conversation with them. And it's also important that we hear from you, but we want to keep it in a safer context. At some point in time, once it is arranged, some sort of town hall style meeting will be conducted here. But for today, it's going to be an exclusive. And this is why my analysts want to be joining me right after the program to dissect of their views and opinion. We have to do it differently. And I'm glad they took a political position. And so we need to give these candidates, these experience, the opportunity to hear from them directly. Today's questions are drawn up by me and only me, not the panelists or any of the contributors, not our sister network Sky Communication have access to these questions. And so very shortly, we're going to get this program on the way. I am Afonso Ziensot of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. Let's take this quick break here, and we will be right back.
From the West African nation of Côte d'Ivoire, Liberia Public Radio and Television present Business Diary. This program focuses on the activities of business institutions and individuals in society.
I'm Jeremiah Saul Senior, CEO of All Nation Bank. It has been very good to have this business established here. We are 1 year since we opened here in Anono. There have been few challenges here that have faced in this country, and that is all about the language. But here instead, I refuse to be deterred. I refuse to be discouraged. I open a business and things will be fine.
My name is Mercy Wangari-Nganga. I am a finance officer working for an international organization. I have a master's degree in business administration. So today I'd like to take the opportunity to talk to you about the COVID pandemic and how it has affected the business sector in terms of me working in an organization, an international organization.
Don't miss out. Be my guest. It's coming soon on Liberia Public Radio and Television.
This is LPR TV with Afonso Ziensot, live from the New England Bureau of the Liberia Public Radio. In today's discussion, we will highlight high-call issues from the motherland, Republic of Liberia, and issues affecting our community. Asking tough questions is vital to me to have my listeners and viewers informed with the sole purpose of demanding answers that are authentic and meant to be head-scratching situation. Oh yes, to add pageantry to the conversation, senior analysts and contributors of the Liberia Public Radio are here to dissect the conversation. From Baltimore, senior analyst Professor Asese Labozalo, CEO, Real Academy and Gideon's Polytechnic Academy in Liberia. Senior contributor Amos George is in Atlanta, Georgia, a critical thinker and critic of the GOL. And opposition to LPR TV Foreign Affairs Analyst Leo Johnson's Executive Director, Empowerment Square, based in Canada, and President, Liberian Community in Canada. And on the radar is LPR TV, liberal, progressive, and host Conversations with Sam Saint Blaku Bronto in Studio B in Saxton, Sacramento, California, is also on the radar. And of course, the doyen, former state broadcaster at ELBC and ELWA, and former presidential aspirant, Republic of Liberia, James Gamian, is based in the Garden City of New Jersey, is here. I am your host and anchor, Afonso Ziensot of the New England Bureau Desk of the Liberia Public Radio. Come, let's join the talking point, fair, balance, and objectives in keeping news proportional. Be my guest. Okay, there you have it. That's a team of analysts. Some are still here and some are not here. Just bear with us. We are still waiting for our guest to join us. As soon as she comes on, we will be bringing you this live conversation here. We want to thank you so much for your time, always your commitment to be with us here as we discuss critical and national issues here. Very shortly, she's going to be joining us here, but we will also like to be getting your reaction as we go into this discussion here, because there are a lot of critical issues we're going to be talking about here. And we intend to give her the opportunity to have these conversations. And right after that, I told you, follow this podcast on Liberia Public Radio Facebook page, the Twitter, the YouTube, and LinkedIn is being added to the layout. And of course, our sister network, Sky Communications Network. We want to say it's our deepest appreciation to them for giving us this opportunity to have this sort of news content sharing. This is at no cost, and we want to reiterate that it's at no cost. It's another way of giving back to the country. So we really appreciate that. I know, to have your program to be really in Liberia is a cause, and to run this network, there's a financial responsibility comes with it. And so, as we said, we will keep alarming you. They have not asked us for anything, but we will be coming to you because we want and we want our voices to be heard inside Liberia in a civil context, to give voters and electors the opportunity to decide, and not just to throw the red meat and create those sort of innuendos and give these politicians and stakeholders. You mean all of us must be held accountable of what is happening in our country, including things that we talk, things that we say, and things that we put out there. It is vital that we have this conversation. So in the next coming days of week, we will be putting, we don't usually do that, but we'll be putting our cash out and Zelle out here so that we'll be able to, in good faith, to throw hand at these people here. Today is Sunday. Somebody is leaving their families in studio for you to hear news. Don't you think it was some sort of a compensation? I'm saying that they didn't ask for it, but we, in our good conscience, as human beings, we must be able to do that. News is very expensive. You know that. Billions of dollars been waged in the Western world to get news going, to hear from these presidential candidates. Why you think it is done that way? We can do it here differently and apply it differently in the country, in our own country. That is unfair. And so we're going to be well, we're getting signal here. The political leader of the movement for One Liberia, MacDELLA Cooper, will be joining me here very shortly. And an exclusive, and follow that conversation we will be having. Guess yet? I'm getting a call here. I'm not sure, but I just give me a little time here. Let me see if I can get it. I'm not sure. Let's take this break here, and we'll be right back.
From the West African nation of Côte d'Ivoire, Liberia Public Radio and Television present Business Diary. This program focuses on the activities of business institutions and individuals in society.
I'm Jeremiah Zawu Senior, CEO of All Nation Bank. We have been very good to have this business established here. We are 1 year since we opened here in Anono. There have been few challenges here that have faced in this country, and that is all about the language. But here instead, I refuse to be deterred. I refuse to be discouraged. I open a business and things have been fine.
My name is Mercy Wangari. I am a finance.
Good evening in Liberia. It's little 11:18 change in time here, so that puts us a little bit behind, but it's better late than never. My guest is standing by in studio right there. We're going to be bringing her. This billing is what has been heavily contested in the West African state of the Republic of Liberia, in what appears to be a heavily crowded presidential contest comes 2023. Liberia Public Radio and Sky Communications, in collaboration, is doing everything possible to hear from state leaders, actors, and those seeking the higher office of the land. today. I am privileged. Exactly 1 year ago, she was on this network. 1 year is a very lengthy time here. I don't know what has emerged, what has happened. The political leader of the movement calling herself for One Liberia, Madam MacDELLA Cooper, is here with me. Let me just bring in my special guest, and we're going to get this conversation right down the wire. Let's see here. The camera went up. Let me see it. Hopefully, it's making some adjustment. Just bear with us. You know, technology sometimes it had to push around. But as soon as I get her image back there, we're going to be bringing her. Oh, she went up. Just bear with us. See, should be some sort of technical problem here, but notwithstanding, we're going to get this conversation going, and I'm excited, and we hope to give this opportunity to all of the candidates, and we have been reaching out to them. As long as they are willing to come, Sky and Liberia Public Radio will team up. We hope to hear from Ambassador Joseph Newman Boycott, even the Cuban president, His Excellency Dr. George Manenwia, and all of the actors in Liberia. The issue here with Sky and LPR is to make this news proportional to giving the opportunity to all of these actors that we hear from them. So we don't intend to be judgmental. You are the principal decider for the fate of our country. And part of that is to have an honest conversation, not to run a judgment in the absence of not talking to these people. We can have our own political differences. We are really, really running behind time here. There are almost 20 minutes here. I'm not sure how you're going to play out, but whatever the case, we will continue on that. Just bear with us. She just went out, and hopefully when she comes back, we're going to have this conversation here. I intend not to jump ahead of my shadow here in the absence of her. She is the guest, and whatever the time is, we will still have a conversation, no matter what. Just bear with us. I believe there's some sort of technical problems in there, and we are hoping. Okay, let's see here. I believe she's back with us here. I soon get that image. Okay, folks, the train is about to derail, but there will be no casualty, that I can tell you. Let me bring in MacDELLA Cooper. Is the political leader of the movement for One Liberia. Exactly 1 year we had this conversation. You are back. Madam, good evening. How are you? Are you hearing me? Are you hearing me? Madam Cooper?
Good evening. Good evening. I'm very well. How are you?
Okay, good. Good to have you. I'm getting the audio now.
The sound doesn't seem to be pretty good, but I can hear you.
Okay, let's make sure and do
yes, I am.
Okay. Much better? Much better? Are you still not hearing me? I'm hearing a little bit, I believe it's Liberia. That's the internet system in Liberia. My goodness. Oh, what another day here. I believe the system from her system here is, the network in Liberia is just horrible. These are many reasons why we need to talk to these people, those who are seeking for the higher office of the land. In this century that we're in, and we are still yet to have access to real good broadband, that is a security threat as well. How can we even communicate with our security apparatus if for any reason there was an issue in one of our borderlines? God forbid, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I intend to predict to happen, but here we are. And we are not having the conversation we should be holding as a people, as a nation, and as a society. That's very serious. The police chief, the Ministry of Justice, the national security apparatus, there must be this sort of communications with our men and women, a security network, wherever they are, whether village or not. But here we are, somebody is in the nation's capital and yet can't even get access to good, effective broadband. That is a concern. And you as a citizen, that should give you a second thought. And we're having this conversation with these politicians and state actors. We need to take a turn, 360-degree turn. How can we get the country fixed? And not just all about the blame game. Yes, you have your right to make your political choice, but all of these people, they must be accounted. We must ask them tough questions. It doesn't matter whether you are oppositions or within the ruling establishment. But we are not even looking at that. And sometimes it becomes a little bit very, very much disappointing. We have a guest, a presidential hopeful in the capital, and we can't even get good connectivity with internet. That itself is a concern, and we must all address that. These are among many of the reasons why we should change the narrative, and the media should be able to drive this narrative, not to leave it in the hands of these politicians because they are calculative, they are manipulative, and we wanted to have it their own way. All of this is why LPR and Sky Communication forecast that would change the conversations in the political discourse in Liberia. It's not all about it's not working. This not doing this. This one not working. Yes, it is not working. You have to put on the table what will work for us. And not just talking it, but how it will be done. I want to see the path of it. Unfortunately, we yeah, all right, that's clear. So it is why it is. Finding it difficult to come in here because of internet connectivity. The last time I had an interview with her, she was in Dakar. It was perfect 1 year ago. Nothing was distorting, audio, everything was perfect. I'm cool here, and I'm quite sure most of you, I'm audible. I'm using about 1,000 gigabyte blast from Verizon. So sometimes I want to say, what are you running that you're using this sort of internet? Is because we want to bring the best out of the rest. I'm not saying there can be no sort of interruption here. These are technical stuff, but it is. But here we are in the nation's capital. Imagine when she was in Nima or Grand. Okay, let's see here. She's back here. Hopefully, we're going to get it work here. Okay, Madam. Good evening.
Good evening. I can hear you properly now.
Properly.
Good evening.
These are many of the reasons why we should give you guys the opportunity to have this sort of conversation here instead of entertainment. You were in Dakar the last time around, internet was uninterrupted. But I guess when you are in Monrovia, in Liberia, imagine when you were president and you want to communicate with your joint security borderline in my own county of Grand Gide, Sano, or even Cape Mount. That is a security concern. But let's get the ball rolling. Thank you so much for honoring our invitation right here at LPR and Sky Communication Network. Thank them for also relaying that. 1 year we have this conversation. Time has significantly involved past here. I don't know what has happened in the last 1 year, but good you hear it. Let's hear from you quickly here. It would be unfair to say I know you and everybody know you without hearing from you.
Wonderful to be here with you as usual, Fonso. Sorry again for the delay. It was primarily internet issue. I had to switch networks to be able to get a conversation through. But during the past 1 year, I don't know how much has changed, and I don't know how much is going to change. I think with the repetition of the word change, I think this is the time that we need real change in this country, because the promise of change never came, and things are still the same. And I don't know how much longer we're going to, excuse me, how much longer we're going to endure this. So, excuse me, there's a bit of dryness here.
Yeah, I can get you off to get a glass of water off the screen. Is that okay?
I would need to.
Yeah, let's do that here. For folks, just bear with us. I'm going to be bringing her right here, and we're going to. I assume she's okay. We're going to do that, and this is why we need to have this conversation. Those of you who are supporting these politicians, it's time that you redirect your tone because you are also creating problems for our country. You make wrong choices. You do not ask all of the tough questions, and you get us, and then you come back to tell us knowing what I know. I believe my guest is here. Let me just bring her here. Time is already fast spent. Just bear with us here. Okay. All right. Here we go. So you said nothing have changed. It's still the same. Is that what I was hearing?
Much remains the same. The same unemployment rates very high. we used to have an informal informal sort of job sector that no longer exists. And it's just when the people are not at work, men were made to work, and when men don't have jobs or job, it makes them complacent. And so you see a lot of hopelessness in the country. You see a lot of men out of job. You see a lot of women who are just trying to find whatever they can find to sell in the marketplaces, to put to be able to earn just a few dollars to put a meal on the table. Look, yes, global inflation is taking place across the world. Again, being redundant there, but you see the global issues, but you also see the Liberian version of the global issues. So, but when our politicians who are heading this administration say, "Oh, this is global crisis, this is a global crisis," yes, but if people put you there thinking that you are the one they felt could find solutions to these problems, and in the midst of crisis, you will lead them to victory. But there's no leading anyone here. So look, the country is in a shamble. I drove through the airport, from the airport to town this morning. The roads of the airport is deteriorating. The massive holes in the road. It brings me back to post-war sort of view of this country. Everyone just looking unhappy. Water barely comes in the pipelines into your homes. Electricity goes off and on. It's like a Christmas tree. I don't know what to say, Alfonso. I don't want to be too
Okay.
judgmental, but this is just the reality of the country. Nothing has advanced. You don't see the impact of what people thought this administration was going to bring to the table.
All right. By visions of my eyes, I'm seeing the high level of frustrations and some sort of apprehension about the future of your country. But you also now seeking the higher office of the land potentially. Do you recognize this billing? Is that where you want to say to make executive decisions in Liberia?
That is our precious executive mansion. That is the place where the executive branch makes decision on how the future of this country is going to be formed and shaped. And so it's a place that we should honor with the highest respect in the nation, and it's a place I look forward to hopefully being in and making those critical decisions about the country's future.
Let's play a little bit tic-tac-toe here. Do you want to go on the eighth floor or on the fourth floor? Where you think your office will be if elected as president?
I want the best view, Alfonso. I want the top floor.
You want a top floor to make sure side security. Okay, let's get down to the wire to have these conversations, as we intend to have a real national conversation. This sort of entertainment that is being incited into our political discourse is not doing us well. As a result, we are now holding you people accountable. And we in the media industry, ordinary citizens, we all must be held accountable of some of the things that are happening as well. Let's get to some critical issue here.
Sure.
You are a lady. You potentially going to be in a few with a heavily crowded men, quote unquote. We don't know whether other ladies going to. But let's get on some critical issue here. What is Madam Copper's stand on this female mutilation here? Should we leave this here within, or if elected as president, will you be able to make some sort of a decision? These are national, these are social issue, culture in ties with it, which is good. But there is also a greater segment as to how it is treating our society. So I'm wondering here, these are questions a leader needs to answer. Do you have a stand on that?
I am an avid believer in our traditions. I think our tradition, from the African tradition to the Liberian tradition, our tradition is very important because that sort of reminds us of who we are and where we've come and where we're heading. Because our tradition is something that I hold to heart. I think our traditions are very, very special to me, and by no means necessary I will want to ever change our traditions. In terms of the FGM, as we will call it in the different parts of the world, the female genital mutilation, which is the sort of cutting of the female body part of the female body part. Look, it's a tradition that has been in our culture for so long, and that's a tradition that should be continued, with the exception of, my position is that the female should have the chance to have a say in her being cut. And so I think in terms of um, consensus, like a female agreeing when she is ready. I think having it done pre 18 years of age, which is the age of adult, I think makes it more complex. It makes it more of an infringement on someone's rights. And so I think the FGM is something that should remain in our society, but the female should have a say in the matter. So it is important to wait until she is of 18 years of age to decide if she wants the cutting or not. But I don't think we should change our tradition. I think our tradition has been 100-year-old tradition, hundreds of years old tradition, and I think it should be kept in our society. Just we need to change the age of consent to be able to further continue the cutting portion of it.
So, just for clarity and to give a concise understanding to my viewers and audience, what I seems to be hearing from you is the women, they have the saying as to what should happen to their body, correct? They should be the
Absolutely, you
ultimate
should.
decider.
Absolutely, we should wait until they're 18 to decide when they want to be cut.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah. All right. I just and that's what I like. I like this sort of a honest conversation here. Okay. So let's get down to other issue here. What is the status of your political party? It's about you here today. My guess, the last time around, you were in a. Am my understanding you are in a again? Correct.
That's right.
Right. What is happening
Well,
here? What is happening here? What is not resonating? What are you going to change around the last time than what we're going to see happening in the 2028? What are they not understanding about Mandela Cooper? What is going on?
Well, I'm not sure who's not understanding, but for those who may be out there listening and that does not understand who MacDELLA Cooper is, look, I am someone who have made a great sacrifice for my country. I've given up a lot for my country, and it's a privilege. It's been a privilege and an honor to serve my country in from a humanitarian standpoint, from an investment standpoint. It's the honor of my life to serve my country. I've spent almost 20 years of my adult life serving this country, building schools for children, providing scholarships. We had set out to just support orphans and abandoned and unwanted children, but we went further. We built a boarding school, a free boarding school for children, and giving kids the opportunity to obtain an education, access to healthcare, housing, and nutrition. We've gone across the country and provided, support to children from all tribes. I don't just support children from the Gribble or the Pellet tribe from which I hail. I support children from across the board because I'm a Liberian, and I don't look at myself just as a tribal woman, but I look at myself as a Liberian first. And so to serve my country and its people, I try to refrain from or get away from this whole tribalistic approach where if you're from my tribe, I will take care of your needs, and if you're not from my tribe, I abandon you. And also I went on post the elections in 2017. I went on to build a political party, first political party that's created by a woman in Liberia, giving women, the young people with disability, a platform to run for office. Because I noticed a lot of women were being left out of the equation, the decision-making processes of our political institutions. And so women named were not being sent to the election commission. And when political institutions looked around and started having this in-depth conversation as to why women were not being placed on a ballot, it's because political parties were not submitting names of women because of the structure in political parties across the country. We had 26 registered political parties during the 2017 elections. And this time around, I understand we have about 16 political parties. I don't know if some of them dropped or they didn't meet the qualifications. And so the big issues that we try to solve within the Movement for One Liberia, which is my political institution, the Movement for One Liberia, it says it all. It will create a political party that will become a ruling party that will lead the country in a manner in which it hopes to see this country go, in the direction it hopes to see this country go, which is a united Liberia. 15 beautiful counties, 16 tribes of people, but we all remain one people. We're one destiny. And so we must have a governance system that respects that. And that's why I try to do from the political party level, so that when we do become the ruling party, we will then bring those same practices into leadership and governance. Because when political party establishes a governance system that only allowed older men to rule and have it all, have the final say, women and the youth and people with disability are kept on the sidelines, that's the same processes they bring into their leadership. And today it's clear that you can see that across this administration, because their political party had a system where only the older men in the party made decisions. Women were never allowed to be part of the decision making process. The youth were kept on the sidelines. So they go into government, do the same thing. And that's something Liberian and Liberian people should never tolerate. We should fight for, we should always stand for equality across the board. When there are 10 seats on the table, there should be women at the table. There should be young people. There should be the elderly, as well as the men. So every citizen of Liberia, every demographic, should be represented at all times when we're making decisions that affect the future of our country. So the movement for One Liberia, which is my political party, have put that practice into action. And so we have an executive committee that consists of men, women, the youth, and people living with disability. So there should be no misconception about the good things we're trying to do, because we are trying to create a Liberia that represents all people, all tribe, or all creeds of people across the country.
Okay, let's have a conversation here. Talking about this party, and I had to validate politicians' argument because they're going to use that here. But there were three, about the last time around, three ladies that I interviewed on this network, and they made it crystal clear they are not part of your party, but you were out there supporting them based on what you are still saying. What is the strength of this party here? Are you in all of the 15 political subdivision? Is the presence of MOL, is it been felt? And if so, then I will be compelled to ask this question. Your guys, the other guys that are running, I saw the elaborate team members, campaign members being populated by ANC, Elizana Cummings, Cubans dead. And so I'm wondering what is going on. When are we going to see the face of MOL as well, and some other names? Is that something you are contemplating doing, and how soon would that be?
Absolutely. Look, it's every political party's dream to be felt, a presence felt in all 15 subdivisions of the country. The movement for One Liberia will go into the 2023 elections, and we're going to run a very strong campaign. Our presence, if not being felt, will be felt in all 15 subdivisions of our country. We don't want to run a dragged out campaign and start making unnecessary noise before the call has been made to on a mark, get set, ready, go. We want to go when it's necessary to go. So we are doing what's necessary at the moment, and we do plan to increase our visibility, and we just did a national polling across the country to discuss the issues affecting the lives of the Liberian people. The Liberian people were fooled in 2016, 2017 election when all this loud noise were being played around here, jumping around, people making loud, unnecessary noise, not talking about one policy issue. And people, thought that was the way to elect a person that will be the advocate and a representative of the country. But apparently, after the distraction of all the loud noise and the loud music and the big parades, the country is in a worse shambles than it's ever been in years. So the loud noise and all the unnecessary partying and loud music doesn't make a president. It doesn't make a good leader. Because when people want to distract you from their inabilities of standing up for the issues that affect the lives of people, they play a lot of unnecessary music. They turn to entertainment, which you just mentioned. And so we are not going to be that party that just turned to entertainment because of some inability to talk about the issues, on the economy, issues on healthcare, issue on the need for education for our young people. We want to engage the Liberian people and say, look, we all know and understand these are the issues affecting our lives. This is the MacDELLA Cooper solutions to these issues. This is how we build an economy. This is how we create jobs. This is how we put our children to school. This is how we build our healthcare system. This is the approach that the MOL and the MacDELLA Cooper stand for. So we're not going to be all over the 15 subdivisions making loud noise, calling ourselves the country giant, where we don't have one policy issue on the paper and even understand what a policy issue is or what the issues affecting the lives of Liberians. So, to your question, we will be felt when it is time to move. The Election Commission will give us a rate to campaign, and on that mark, we will go.
And just to get it right, we will go. We will be felt in the 15 political subdivision, meaning you're going to have folks contesting both parliaments, either the rep or the senator. Will you be feeding candidates coming this? There are three major elections: not only the presidency, not only the executive. They also the first branch of government, because that will also the continuity of this party. Will you be feeding candidates in those in the first branch of government as well?
Absolutely. We are already in talks with potential candidates who are going through the process to become, they got to go through primaries, and then so we're in the process of talking. We're going to go to convention. And those who win will feed them to at least have their names on a list that goes out to the Election Commission. So we're talking to a ton of women, young people. And again, and just going back a minute to your previous question about women that came on the show and talked about how we help them. We are one of the youngest parties in Liberia. And in 2020, we did all we could to make sure women and young people and those unconventional male candidates who understand that Liberia cannot be led by men's decision, but the need to diversify the decision-making process is critical. And we did support those unconventional men, because that is the future of the world. That is the future of Africa. And that is the future of Liberia. During a conference, an international conference, I overheard a conversation that someone said that Africa is walking on one leg. And imagine Africa is running this race on one leg. If Africa could include women being the other leg that they're missing, if women could be included in all of the decision-making processes, we will have a balanced decision-making process. Meaning, if when men are on the decision-making table talking about the needs for highways and infrastructure development, because those are things that matters to our male counterparts, the women on the other side are advocating for healthcare and education, things that matter to the lives of the family, the grandparents, the father, the mother, and the children. So it is very important that we have even the youth on the decision-making tables, so that the youth can bring up conversations or topics or issues that affect their existence. Because when you're a young person below the age of 35, you are focused on college education, first of all, high school, then college education and affordable college education. And also now when you graduate, you need to be prepared and ready for the job market. So those are issues that affect that demographic, the youth demographic. I've already spoken about issues that affect the women demographic, and the men talk about infrastructure, which everything is needed when making decisions around national operating budgets and how to craft the budget where money should be allocated. And so it is very important, going back to your question, and that is why we took it upon ourselves in 2020 to support candidates that weren't only on our party. We supported a candidate like Boto Kanen from Bapulu County.
I was waiting to hear that directly here. You support, is that support fell on fertile soil? Is that what you anticipated, seeing what is unfolding right now?
What is that exactly what's unfolding? Which direction you?
I'm asking, you supported her. Are you proud of what she's doing right now in Parliament?
What is she doing? Which particular? Because there are many things she's doing, but which particular one are you
Her
referring to?
role in decision making, taking some of these critical decisions. Is she working in party across party line to make sure those values that you believe in? I'm not sure whether she was a member of your party, but
No, she was not. She was an independent candidate.
Independent, but overall her representations in Parliament. Miss Your standard as a political leader of MOL?
Well, look, the reality is there are a lot of folks in the parliament, in the house of the upper house of Senate, who's being there doesn't meet my requirement, and I don't think Botokan is the only one. I mean, I first of all I need to go back and look at her records and see what she's been up to over the past year, because I've been so focused on other things and not been paying too much attention to her voting records, and so I need to go back and look at her voting records. But look, we know who Botakane is. She's a quiet lady. She's a lady who moves with action. And maybe her voting records, again, I'm going to go back and take a look at it, but I haven't heard of anything that she voted on that was absolutely out of the ordinary. But there are many other folks in the House, in the upper house of Senate, that really are not making any impact. So I don't think even if she was in a position where she's not doing anything significant, there are many others who are in there who are not doing anything significant.
Okay, let's talk some critical issue here. I am concerned with a lot of things unfolding here, like you and any other Liberians. And this is why when we bring these political leaders and those who have interest in leading our country, we give them the opportunity to articulate their agenda, their visions. The issue of rape in the country, I'm not sure whether it has decreased, but it's still a concern. And there was a law enacted during the presidency of Helen Johnson Sirleaf. The crime is not going away, Madam Cooper. It is still on the rise. I'm wondering here, under your presidency, how will this be prosecuted? How will this be handled?
Well, I do plan under my ministry, or during my presidency, I do plan to get tough on law enforcement. We cannot run a society on lawlessness. We have got to first start by putting the right measures in place, making sure our three branches of government are in accord, although they have to remain separate. But one should not be leading one or others, or the other two. When you have the separation of powers, it makes it easy for each government to function in their respective roles. The judiciary being the concern, the House of Legislature being independent. It is critical to have a separation of powers so that each branch of government can hold the other one accountable. And that's number one, respect for the rule of law. Now, secondly, let's go down to our law enforcement officers. Law enforcement officers, unfortunately, we don't have enough trained law enforcement officers. The very few that we have do not get paid a significant amount to sustain themselves and their family. And most of the time, they do not get paid at all for months upon months in time. And number three, they don't have the resources to even enforce the laws, vehicles, and other items, which I'm not going to sit here and name all of them, but I think you grasp my meaning. They are struggling to survive in their positions. And this makes it very impossible to enforce the law. And when you have politicians who are getting away with crimes, because of impunity, it makes it very hard for law enforcement officers not getting paid, have to respect individuals who are breaking the law and say, yes, sir, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. This creates a problem. And so I do plan to get very tough on law enforcement. I want to make sure, sorry, go ahead, Alfonso.
Yeah, you plan to get tough. That seems to be relative to me. I always like to get the dish out here. What specifically, when you say tough, what is the interpretation? Politicians have a different ways, context in using deploying war here. When you say tough, what specifically you are talking about, just for clarity? What will you do?
Well, first of all, we have to make sure the law is enforced. We have to understand what the law is, and it is enforced. If you are not supposed to, for example, we don't have too many traffic lights in Liberia, but they think called the red light. If someone goes through the red light and they're not supposed to go through the red light, that person must be stopped and ticketed, warning. And if it happens again, they get a ticket and have to pay fines to the government. And two, another example would be these politicians who are raping, beating their wives. They must be judged, and if found guilty, they must pay the price, the penalty. And these are things that we see every day. The newspapers are doing their good job by reporting the news about these. I want to say the politicians because they're the ones who are well known across the country. They are beating their wives. You see the women with marks on their face. They're doing all sorts of things. They're stealing money from the government, unaccounted funds. You know, you just had a situation where the Minister of State was recently sanctioned along with two other ministers in two other key members of this administration. They stepped down, but they were never penalized. They should be penalized. Stepping down is not enough. The damage that will cause, they stole money from the Liberian people. Those funds should be returned to the Liberian people, because I'm sure they still have some of those funds in their account. And you see, we allow people to constantly break the law because of friendship. And that is why a president or head of state must not only appoint people based on friendship lines. There has to be something, qualification, so that they understand the mandate under which they're operating. But when we just hiring our friends, our daughters, our sons, it creates a sort of a very difficult situation to chastise an official when he or she breaks the law. And so when I do say I will get tough on crimes and those who are, because we cannot run a country, we cannot invite investors here when the law and order is not in place. A police officer is disrespected on the streets in uniform because when he tried to stop politicians from running illegally in the middle lane, they are the opposite lane. They curse the police officer and say, "Man, move from here, man. You're making more money than you." That's a law enforcement officer that's being disrespected in front of the public. And so those are things under my administration that will not take place. And of course, people are going to say, "Oh, she's going to be too tough on us. So maybe we should reconsider." But that's the only way we can move this nation forward. That's the only way we can respect what's on paper should be in action.
So then that will bring me to the point: the ultimate enforcers of law and order are the frontliners, the men and women of the Liberian National Police. You seem to set a high standard here. So I'm wondering, let's play into your political mind. What sort of police commissioner under the watch of Madam MacDELLA Cooper, if she's president, what would be the benchmark of the police director if elected president of the Republic of Liberia? Because I mean, too much is ongoing. We say
Right.
He's not doing this, not doing that, but everybody must be held accountable, including those that are in charge. Presidents appoint to get a piece of job. Some
Right.
don't do their job, and they are kept there. They keep holding on. I'm just trying to get a sense here, the benchmark of even your cabinet, not just only the police chief, the Minister of Justice, for example.
Right.
What could be the benchmark of you appointing somebody as police commissioner or even the Minister of Justice of the Republic of Liberia? Because they're going to be in the front line to fight all of these we are talking about.
Well, I really do believe that we must first go back to what kind of leadership we have. Is it authoritarian? An individual who wants to be the only, to be a dictator? Because the issue is not necessarily with the appointed police chief or the chief justice, not chief justice, but the minister of anyone in that particular field. It has a lot to do with the leadership, because if a leader respects the law, it will reflect through the individuals that he or she appoints to those different positions. So when you elect or appoint a police director, the police director, we have a mandate for all police directors that's appointed by presidents. They have their mandate at TOR, and they go and execute. But when the police director comes and one of the president's friends break the law, and the police director gets a call and said, "Let a man go, man. Let a man go. Let a man go." That undermines the police director's job. And so when you have a leader who is allowing people, he puts people in place that will allow he or she to break the law, that's where the problem stems from. And so we want to make sure we are electing people who understands that they have to step out of their comfort zone and allow their appointed officials to do the job of the nation, not to do the job of their personal friends and families and girlfriends and girlfriends, and the people are here to do the job for the country. And so, when you have people being undermined by their leader, so it weakens the power of every other, the chain down the louder. Police director is undermined, so the deputy police director is undermined. The police officers themselves are being called by the police director and say, "Oh, the man say I'm gonna let it go." Yeah, it's disgraceful, and you see that across the country. And so the police officers' hands are locked. They cannot do the job because the instructions coming from the top is causing them to go against what we stand for in this nation. And so that's where the problem comes from. And that is what we have to make sure when we putting people into positions of authority, we must understand where they're coming from, how to see these things. And that is why debates in presidential elections are very important. When folks do not respect the people enough to come and debate these issues, the people have no idea what they stand for. And you saw that across 2017's election. We elected a president who never participated in one debate, never talked about one policy issue, what he was going to do for this country. And I'm not here, I'm just using an example because it's the closest example to us. And so the leadership themselves are the ones who are undermining the appointees.
This is the Liberian War Today. I am Afonso Zienso. My special guest is the political leaders of the Movement for One Liberia, Madam MacDELLA. Let's take a quick break and we'll be right back. Get a glass of water.
From the West African nation of Côte d'Ivoire, Liberia Public Radio and Television present Business Diary. This program focuses on the activities of business institutions and individuals in society.
I'm Jeremiah Sawu Senior, CEO of All Nation Bank. It has been very good to have this business established here. We are 1 year since we opened here in Anono. There have been few challenges here that have faced in this country, and that is all about the language. But here instead, I refuse to be deterred. I refuse to be discouraged. I open a business and things have been fine.
My name is Mercy Wangaringanga. I am a finance officer working for an international organization. I have a master's degree in business administration. So today I'd like to take the opportunity to talk to you about the COVID pandemic and how it has affected the business sector in terms of me working in an organization, an international organization.
Don't miss out. Be my guest. It's coming soon on Liberia Public Radio and Television.
This is LPRO TV with Afonso Zienso, live from the New England Bureau of the Liberia Public Radio. In today's discussion, we will highlight high-call issues from the motherland, Republic of Liberia, and issues affecting our community. Asking tough questions is vital to me to have my listeners and viewers informed with the sole purpose of demanding answers that are authentic and meant to be head-scratching situation. Oh yes, to add pageantry to the conversation, senior analysts and contributors of the Liberia Public Radio are here to dissect the conversation. From Baltimore, senior analyst Professor Asese Labozalo, CEO, Real Academy and Gideon's Polytechnic Academy in Liberia. Senior contributor Amos George is in Atlanta, Georgia, a critical thinker and critic of the GOL, and opposition LPR TV foreign affairs analyst Leo Johnson. Okay, let's come back here. Our guest is here, and let's continue this. I know we started a little bit late here. We'll try to catch up time here. And I'm looking for, Madam Kopo, I'm looking to have a country. I know it might sound insane because right after this, our analysts are going to be coming here. A couple of years ago in my own state, the city mayor of the city is responsible for the police. The city mayor appoints the police commissioner. And the city mayor was pulled over by a patrol person because the city mayor did not respect, he did not drive in, there was not an emergency, and just went through the way, and he was pulled over. I didn't see 105, 103 calling there say, hey, that's a city mayor. The law was put into effect. That's
Right.
what I want to see. And people surveilling also help to penetrate the law. There must be consequences for all of these things here. If we want to be comparing Nigeria, Ivory Coast, these things, it can just happen. All of us must be held accountable. And this is why here. But corruption, you talk about corruption. This is something that is like a column cancer. The
Right.
last time around, I don't know, you being in this place here, and I want you to talk to me on that. I never saw anybody who corrupted fair here. And IRS will say, okay, because you're president, you're a minister, we will let that go. I take responsibility.
Mm.
You don't take responsibility in this country. When you take responsibility, it comes with consequences.
Right.
When Johnson Sirleaf, her son, squanders
Mm.
no car, and said she took responsibility. Within a little short period of time, and I walking from the Ibrahim's award of $5 million. The government of Liberia, the people of Liberia, they were not compensated. But we took
Right.
responsibility and we let it go. I'm wondering here, on your watch as president here, do you, if elected president, with Helen Johnson Sirleaf and those who got no car to be why it is, would they be held accountable, or will you be one of those who will let go? I take responsibility and that's it. You don't owe IRS a penny.
Right.
You owe them, you will pay, or they will garnish your check. We know that. We all know that. They know that. But when it comes to Liberia, different laws are applied. Yet we want a vibrant society. How can that happen?
We will never really be able to create a vibrant society until we curb corruption and a lack of respect for rule of law. We must be able to create a lawful society so that we can be able to curb corruption, because it's like the chicken and egg. Which one comes first? We must respect the rule of law, put the respect for rule of law in place, so that the citizens of the land understands the need to enforce the law and respect the law, and not necessarily break the law. And if you break the law, there'll be measures taken against you. And so that when someone like a Sirleaf or a child of a president or whoever breaks the law, the law should not, like, that's why the lady Liberty is she's blindfolded. She shouldn't be respect of person. The law should apply irrespective of your family's history or your family position. Excuse me, I think I'm having a little electricity issue here in Liberia. Light just went out. It's a pity that you can't have current for a decent amount of time. It goes in and out, it goes off and on like a Christmas tree. So anyway, going back, my plan will be, number one, like I said, not being repetitious here again, create a create a society or culture in this country where we respect the rule of law. And two, make sure everyone understands that no matter who they are, if they break the law, they will bear the penalty if found guilty. And that is why we have to have due process. We have to have a process where a person, according to our constitution, every citizen is entitled to a fair trial. And so when you go through that trial period, and that is, again, it just takes a lot. You go through the trial period, if found guilty, you pay the price for the crime you commit in the country. And so we cannot continue to just have, leadership breaking our laws and not doing much. And now, one of the things I plan to do, Alfonso, with respect to taking over government, is to audit the government, know what we're inheriting, so that we can make it public, make the audit report public. The citizens of the land must know what we're inheriting. And look, the process of going back to the former president, Madame Sirleaf, and this current administration, that's a process that will happen at the right time. I can't sit here prematurely and say, oh, I'm going to indict Madame Sirleaf. I don't know what the court system, if they were to be trial based on the accusations. I don't have the facts on hand, so I cannot speak to whether I will, hold them accountable for what they do or not. Because first of all, we got to convict someone based on the facts on hand. So until I have the facts on hand, I cannot speak directly to that process. But all I know for sure, if Nokal had resources that was due to the Liberian people, and any official of government, whether it's the child, the son, the family of a president, former president, if they took those resources for personal use, of course, will be part of the process to make sure they're put on trial. And if found guilty, they will have to pay the country back its resources, because that's taken from, according to the words of former ambassador Lena Thomas Greenfield, is stealing from the child's mouth. Corruption means they're stealing from the poor children's mouth. Instead of putting the food in the child's mouth, you steal the food right out of the child's mouth and you put it in your own mouth. And so we want to make sure we do all we set these processes in place so that we can rightfully convict, not just based on they say, it's based on the facts. And I believe in research, and my accusations and my information should be based on having the data on hand.
Yeah, you used the word at a right time. What is the right time, Madam Cooper? How you?
The right time is right when the system, the court system, have all of the documents in hand, review the documents, and go through a legal process and make the conviction. That's the right time.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Let's talk about what's stable food. I can eat whatever I can eat. I can swallow the gumbo. I can swallow the fufu. If I don't get that white or whatever powder, I eat whole day. That like, bro, man, I eat a whole day. But even though you took one hell of a GB or fufu,
that's right.
Rice is a political commodity in the country. We know what happens. We don't want to reconnect the past here, but we know what happened April 14th as
that's
a result
right.
of the rice issue. We saw recently the shortage of rice in the country. The government never had a handle on it. On your watch, how will the country, our country, your country, to avoid this sort of chaotic situation, always that I see as a complete distraction to the country? How will you intend to do that? How do you know that?
But look, let me just go back to the most simplistic example. The simplest example. I'm a mother. Every month, I know how many bags of rice is used in my house. And so at the end of the month, I make sure I purchase the amount of rice that's needed for the entire month, right? It's common sense. We are 175 years of independence. We have been going through the same dry season, rain season. We know what the country needs. Of course, things change slightly, but not drastically. We know the amount of rice we have to order based on our population growth. We know what the demands are in the market, the commerce, from the commerce ministry to the local, the investors and those who have the monopoly on the rice. Look, this information is widely available. The inability to take the action to order the rice that was needed to have the amount of rice needed on the market, I'm not sure exactly. Commerce ministry had a press release put out that they had done this, they had done that, but yet still there was no rice in the market. They were making all these, claims that they had done their part, but yet still there was no rice in the market. It's a pity. It's a pity because that should not be the case. Rice, like you said, at the same way, you can give me all the sweet food, caviar, champagne, anything you want to give me. Why eat my rice? Today, rice and pamato 2 times for breakfast and for lunch. I ain't wasting what is it? You want to tell me, say, we in 2022, we don't know that the Liberian people consume rice, so we must. When we order, they said, I don't know what is the numbers, but it's on the Commerce Ministry's homepage. They order XYZ number of rice, and they knew the time was going to take for that rice to run out based on the demands of the market. And you want to tell me say they couldn't order more rice? But you see, that's what happens when you have an administration in power that does not care about the Liberian people. And those of us who are in the opposition bloc can say this over and over, and MacDELLA Cooper is not afraid to say this. This administration have shown every sign that they don't want this administration. They don't want to govern our nation. They have zero interest in this nation, in the people. They have all interest in their personal needs. And so they do everything according to their personal needs and not the need of the nation. And so that is why they'll be, sort of reckless or and neglect the idea that Liberian people eat rice and they need rice, or if they were playing some political game, they were playing political game against themselves because it really make them look bad on their watch. No food in the country. This is the administration that's supposed to be the administration to rescue Liberia, because that the real talk on the street. Oh, that Congo people administration now the country man child. The country man child said that the poor people are so poor in the country, no job in the country. Even the wicked Ellen Johnson who was in power, there was 85% unemployment rate. Unemployment rate, that means there was an informal job sector operating. Let's do somebody just like us to stop talking the big talk and talk the truth on these conversations or during these conversations. Because how can you not have rice in the country when you know Liberian people eat rice every day? You want them to say, President, where I ain't got people in here, administration, I can remind you, say Liberian people need to eat rice. Oh, I pay the rice for you. Then what are he saying in exchange? Oh, yeah, they put and they always want rice, man. Yeah, we always want rice. It's true. So look, I'm not here to get personal with it, but I think that was the lowest point this administration could have gotten to. And so when you ask the question about whether my administration is going to have such neglect, no. I have spent 20 years of my adult life serving this country, serving the poor, the widows, and the children, and I never miss a mark. And going to leadership means that I've served a few thousands. Now I need to serve and provide these same basic human services, social services to the rest of the Liberian people because we need it. We need it. The Liberian people need these basic social services, including food security.
Okay. As we are gradually winding down, I can let you go. We can just end this without putting a little bit bleach to within the opposition column, which of course you are part of the opposition. The other day you are part of the opposition. I'm wondering what is the conversation going on within the opposition? You as an opposition person, what is happening within the opposition? There are alliances, small alliances being formed within the opposition. Where do you stand? Are you forming an alliance with any of these? We have the Unity Party, quote unquote, with Joseph Boyka, a certain segments of the Unity Party and with Liberty Party, another segment of the Liberty Party with Alexander Benedict Cummings. Tuawan Gonglo is taking a tour in Battleground in Nima County. I'm wondering, and fans are wondering, what would be the alliance of Madam Mandela Kopo?
The alliances are coming. They're coming on very strong. People are tired with trying to put the same old wine in old bottle. You know, it's you gotta change things up. Liberia is at a crossroads now where we need a new generation of Liberians who have not had their hands in the cookie jar, and we need to have a new group of young Liberians leading this country. That's where I stand, and I will not support. Again, all due respect to the honorable, but I think these people who are behind the honorable Joseph Boyka trying to kill this old man, because at this age I see this old man taking his sunset years and trying to rest, spend some time, valuable time with his family and not to be on a campaign trail trying to become president of this country. Joseph Boyka is a very valuable member of our society, of the opposition bloc. I adore him. But I think these people who are forcing this man to go run for president, I think they're just trying to kill the old man for their own selfish greed. I really do think they're trying to kill this old man. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace because what exactly this old man who can't even stay awake would do for our country at this moment? You have more than half the population are young people living below the age of 35. You want to tell me you're going to take an almost 90-year-old man to make decisions for the future when he doesn't have a future to look forward to? Come on, let's speak the truth here in Liberia. Why would we like to play around? The reality is we need a youthful group of people making decisions, but not just some buga youthful person who the only thing they know how to do is to go get cash and dance some music. We need people who are educated, people who will not take tribal sides, people who understand the economy, who have good relationship with the international community, to now put measures in place so that Liberia can move into the future that we're looking forward to. It's a disgrace when I see them put it over, flying the old man over the place trying to kill a man. It makes me upset. It makes me upset. I wouldn't want to see anybody do that to my grandfather or my grandmother. The old man needs to be resting and then pulling it over the place trying to be the president. We need to be looking how we'll take care of this old man in the future because he has served our country. He has done very well. But the idea of making Joseph Boyka president of this country is a disgrace to Liberian people. And I think those are the people who try to make him president, they know themselves. And they only do that because they want to get there. They know they see how to use George Weah to go be president because George Weah don't know nothing about presidency. Then they send it on to the old man. They can never get to the executive mansion except they find certain people to get them there. But they have no plan for Liberia besides their own selfish, vindictive reason. They want access to power. They're using the old man to use to get to the mansion. They see they put there with George Weah. They know George Weah didn't know beef or broth about politics, about governance. They want to put him in power. Today, George Weah ain't doing nothing for anybody in Liberia. The country is suffering. But George Weah got all the costume he needs, all the cars, the airplane, he got it. So it's a disgrace to see these people acting this way in our country. They think Liberia is a joke, like a playground. They used to say, oh, the Congo people can use Liberia like their farm. Now, who's using Liberia as a farm? The wicked people in our society that think George Weah would have made president. The wicked people who wanted the old man who should be here. Some said yes, enjoying his last years of his life. They want to be president. And say, oh, you're small children, y'all go away, man. It's not about small children. Let's get to the fact here. Let's get the people who can make policies, who can go to the international world and beg, advocate on behalf of Liberia. We are in the negative when it comes to our operating resource need. We're in the negative. And so, look, I'm getting excited here today because I really, truly care about this country. And at the idiocy that people bring to the politics of this country is a disgrace internationally. Everywhere I go, posting, you from Liberia? Do y'all get Bugatti president? They know George Weah is not fit to be president. They know Joseph Boca is too old to be president. And if Alexander Comey can butter up a backbone to connect with the Liberian people, he might do something. But he's too afraid of Liberian people. He acts like he's scary for Liberian people. He got to connect with the people. So they got their things, but this is the truth. Let's deal with the truth when it comes to our country. That's the only way we can rescue this country out of the hell we're in. It's a hellhole. Completely hellhole. Look at me, I'm sitting in the dark doing an interview with you. No light. If I don't go turn on generator, no light here to do anything. It's a disgrace. Let's talk the truth about Liberia so we can fix this country problem once and for all and move forward into the future and compete with the rest of the world. Alfonso, with this said, I thank you.
You seem to ignore conventional wisdom here. And some listeners have said Mandela Cooper is taking a political gamble here. That's a greater segment of the electorate. Folks coming from the Unity Party, oh, wait a minute, what is going on here? I was thinking about this lady here, hear what she is saying. Are you taking a political risk? Is it like you are pivoting in the directions of Alexander Benedict Cummings of the ANC?
Pivoting in what direction?
Alexander Cummings.
I'm not pivoting in any direction besides the MacDELLA Cooper direction. If anyone should fool themselves, think I'm pivoting in Alex Cummings' direction. I'm not pivoting in anyone's direction besides MacDELLA Cooper's direction for president of Liberia.
Okay, so let's get it on hook here. Cummings came here and said the only job he's looking for to be the president of the Republic of Liberia. Even though with all of the talking, okay, you and Boyka can go on this and that. Some of our guys, even on the network, who are supporting other party, which is okay here. Let's put a great lag on it. Besides the presidency, is there any political compromise you think for the good of the country? If you so dearly love the country, is that something you're going to do at the end of the day when it comes to that? When the going gets tough and the tough gets going, no other option. Is Mandela Cooper willing to sacrifice the political harbor from going in this building and say, I can go as either A, not necessarily, go as B, not necessarily A?
Look, the people of Liberia have always been the one to decide, and that's why we preach democracy. It is a type of rule that is by the people and of the people and for the people. So the people will decide. We present ourselves, and the people will decide. But I have to be truthful to myself and sort of discuss what is my view. As I open this conversation, I say I have no issue with Bokai, but the man is too old to be president. He should be in his sunset years, enjoying his life. Not to be running around and trying to be president here. It's a disgrace. And I'm gonna stand for the leadership. Now, when the people decide MacDELLA Cooper is what they want, we will take the victory. If the people decide this is not what they want, we will respect what the will of the people. Because that's for me, that's what it's all about. The will of the people shall prevail. And that's where I stand with it. So I'm not pivoting in anyone's direction besides MacDELLA Cooper for president 2023. I think I'll make a strong leader for this country. Yes, they say I'm 45, 46 years old. I'm young, But don't forget, Barack Obama became president of great United States at 44 years of age. And he served 2 terms, and America appreciated his legacy he's built at 44 years of age. And so there's no age in knowing what needs to be done for this nation. As I said, I've been serving this nation. I gave most of my adult years to this nation. And that is why I left my comfortable life in other parts of the world to come back home, to sit in a place where there's no electricity and bathe out of a bucket. I'm not searching for anything besides just to see a better Liberia where my children can grow up. This is the reality. And so for those who think they can only be president, if that's what Alexander felt his God called him and say, oh, only go be president, that Alexander come in on a quest. But I'll be competing against him in the election. I'm not joining with no one. I'm gonna run independently as I did last time. Because everyone who came to me and said, oh, I want to make you my vice presidential candidate. I told them, I said, I will beat all of y'all in the election and I'll beat them silly. I beat them to the ground. Their numbers didn't even reach anywhere near my numbers. And I plan to do it again.
You plan to do it again. The analysts are standing by to profile this conversation, but news is something that happens concurrently, and I can't let you go without getting your pick here. The President of the Republic of Liberia, His Excellency Dr. George Manawia, as you know.
Doctor from where again? I'm sorry, doctor of what?
Well, I'm not here to, I'm not putting that on the radar that, you know, that's what it is, so we're not going to go there here. His Excellency.
Let's just stick with President Weah. I think that's the title for now that we all know.
Okay, to the point. He's out of the country now approximately for 52 days. Out of the country in the midst of this. I'm wondering here, if Madam MacDELLA Cooper is elected president of the Republic of Liberia, what could possibly be the scenario that she will leave the country for 52 days without really coming out, telling the Liberian people, I'm going on this? Well, the president is entitled to a recreation time. That's the arguments, that's the talking point we are hearing now. But 52 days, will you kind of rewrite history in that same direction? Absolutely
not. Absolutely not. I think it's a disgrace that the president doesn't respect the citizens who elected him into power enough to tell them exactly what is he doing with our money, so that we spending on him for 52 days with his friends and his cronies running around the world on our money, on our country's money, because we're the citizens that money belongs to us. He should tell us exactly what he's doing. I think it's only fair that the president, if he thinks 52 days he's going out there to hustle on behalf of the Liberian people, he should share with us as to what exactly he's bringing back for the country. It's you know, but again, this is where I come in when we talk about impunity. We allow our leadership to get away with everything, and people feel so afraid to ask a question because they think the law enforcement coming after them. Well, we all have to speak the truth. Law enforcement come, they acceptably respect the truth of the nation, and that's why they're law enforcement officers. So the president going out on 52 days to do what? What is the media saying about this? Also, why exactly did he have a press conference, a press release put out by the executive mansion that says, oh, the president is going out for 52 days to be on this? He going on a honeymoon? Is he going with his crew to go do another Buga party? What exactly is he doing outside with our money? He should answer those questions. But again, we gave the president a free ride when we didn't allow him to stay in the debates during the 2017 election that brought him to power. And so he just feel like, oh, I don't got no right to talk to Liberian people. He ain't got no right. He feels like he ain't got no right to explain to us what he's doing with our national budget. And people who are around him, and shame on those in government who are allowing the president to abuse our country in the way he's abusing the country. It's a disgrace, complete disgrace. And we need to have this president out of power, because he cannot be a president for the next 6 years if he continue to misuse our national operating budget in this manner. Going on vacation to run campaign, to look for campaign money, and say he's going to do the people's work. He's not going to do people's work. Let him show the work he's going to do.
Sure, the work that he's going to do. We're going to leave it here. But electors are very sensitive. And when I bring people here, I like to give them the opportunity. Somebody listening, watching now will say, this woman, she looks angry. Are we going to have an angry president? I'm just putting it out there. Are you angry, Madam Cooper?
I am angry over the level of idiocy we have allowed in this nation and think everything is a joke in this country. The seat of the presidency is the highest seat of the nation. And we have allowed a president to make mockery of the seat of the presidency. And you think I don't have the right to be angry? And Liberian people sitting here hungry when the president is filled, him and his cronies. They're driving all the fancy car. They got all the good lifestyle. And our people are 85% of 5.3 million people are unemployed. That's a reason for MacDELLA Cooper to be angry. Our children are dying on a daily basis from curable diseases. And that's the reason for MacDELLA Cooper has a mother of children to be angry. Our police officers are standing in the hot sun. They ain't getting no pay. Their uniform, the sun is bleaching it. Then they aren't getting paid to take money home to their family. That's the reason for MacDELLA Cooper to get angry. Our military don't have the equipment they need to function to protect our borders and our nation. And we have drugs coming to our nation. Our children are high on drugs all day long. I'm a mother. I care about every child, even if they're not born to my wombs. And they're on drugs. They're strung out on drugs. That's the reason for MacDELLA Cooper to be angry. The joke that we have allowed this leadership to make of this country is a reason for MacDELLA Cooper to be angry. Anyone who thinks it's not a reason enough to be angry, they are joking with themselves. Because if we allow another 6 years of this complete nonsense, utterly nonsense to happen in our country, we are going down a path that will never be rescued from. And so, yes, I am angry, and I have every right as a citizen of this great Republic of Liberia. Mama Liberia is shedding tears over the children, shedding tears over the lacks in this country. Our children are doing the worst when it comes to West African exam. We're going in a direction that's spiraling for disaster. I have every right to be angry, but the anger leads me to finding the right solution to this country's problem. And that's where I am with it. So I'm not just angry to be angry. I'm angry because I want the Liberian people to understand the direction we're going in. This is a clarion call that says, watch out. It's an SOS call. Watch out, watch out, watch out. We're going the wrong direction. Don't go back to the polls and make a mistake by putting these people back into power for a second term. We'll destroy this country if we do.
I am angry. The government, the media, the opposition must be held accountable, all of us, of what we do, what we say. We want to let you go. But there was a tweet that came on from the opposition column, who is one of the coordinators, we understand. I'm not sure whether you have seen that. I'm not saying no condemnation coming from the opposition in as much. We need a form of change, but I think democracy is the process of our talent. Kuwomba, who is one of the coordinators, one of the presidential hopeful, Councillor Tiawon Gonglo, when the president left, she tweeted this: AFL, wake up, save the nation from we are. Tala Kuwomba, who happens to be one of the coordinators for Tiawon Gonglo, I've not seen any comments, I've not seen any condemnation. In as much, there is a process, the constitutions of the Republic of Liberia provide an avenue of change of leadership. But to tweet and call on the armed forces of Liberia to wake up, will you have any of your surrogate in making or those sort of comments? And if he or she does, what would be the consequences involved? We can't just poke in the eyes of the government. We all must be held accountable of things we say.
Absolutely, I agree with you. Democracy is the way to, and the ballot boxes should be the way we remove heads of states. We vote them out of power, but we don't take violence as any means of, we don't want any violence, any crisis in this country. I stand against it. So someone writing something like that should be immediately fired by Tiawon Gonglo and dismissed, and issue an honest apology to the president and NFL. He should issue an apology to both of those different parties involved, or at least that he mentioned. So this is he should be ashamed of himself for posting such a thing. We don't want violence in this country. We go to the polls and vote these individuals out, and that's the message we're sending to the citizens of this country.
All right, your last word before we let you go.
Well, Alfonso, as usual, thank you so much for allowing me this time on your platform. And look, this is only the beginning of the conversation. The Liberian people have been having the same conversation across the country. I've heard it everywhere I go. I talk to people. These are the conversations that is affecting the lives of the people, and these are the conversations they are having everywhere I go. In the churches, in the mosque, in the market. I am brave enough to come to this platform and speak these truths to power. And that is what sets MacDELLA Cooper apart. And so, look, whatever people who don't want to hear it, that's their business. But I want to thank you for giving me the platform. May God bless you, and may God give you longevity doing this show.
Thank you so much. We're looking forward sometime in the heat of the campaign. Maybe we will borrow in Battleground, Moserado, Nima, Bomb, and our microphone will face you directly. Thank you so much for taking off your time this Sunday to be with us here on the LPR. Thank you so much. Looking forward to having more of those conversations.
Likewise.
All right. Well, folks, that does it here this afternoon. I'm Alfonso Z, and so it's time. Our team of panelists, analysts, contributors of the Liberia Public Radio standing by for post-analysis of this conversation. I am Alfonso Z, and so stay tuned. Okay, there we go. Join us this coming Sunday here. Let me just put here, we're going to be having the author of the bestseller. As we told you, we're going to be breaking professionals, people of different background. We're going to be breaking a legendary award journalist winner, Kai Jerawle. Is a former minister of government. His new memoir, Liberty Hijacked, the histories of how the loss of liberty divides Liberia. Fascinating documentary memoir to read. Let me go to Twin City, Minneapolis, where our senior contributor, who also support the candidacy of Tiawan Gonglo, Sese Goyo, is standing by. Let me just bring in here. Sese is here. Good Sunday. Let's go to Atlanta, Atlanta, Georgia, USA. The land where the guy was asking for few votes to validate his presidency. Mr. Amos Joy from the far right is here joining this conversation. We hope a surrogate of Madam MacDELLA Cooper will be joining us here as well. Yeah. Gentlemen, what a good Sunday. Time change. I didn't even know today. It was just crazy here. Yeah. Okay, hopefully later you're going to be joining us here, running late here. But we'll get a little time here to do here. Okay, so said, good morning. Okay, let's see here. Mr. Alexander Gibson is the party chairman of Madam Tiawan Gonglo. They are all here determined to make the case. The maritime for the 45 executive mansion is on the rise. Right here on the Liberia Public Radio. Gibson will be contributing here to representing his party interest as well here, making it proportional. Ellis, good afternoon. It's good to have you here. Sese Goyo. Ellis, I'm going to keep you. Let me just, he's going to introduce himself, but I'm going to wait and let he get for you guys to make it. Ellis, good evening. Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you all so much. And I say a big thank you to your crew for providing good information to our people of Liberia locally and the international team as well. Okay. So it's my pleasure.
Okay, he's the party chairman for MOL. These guys, they are high call argument here. Wait and see how they're going to restructure it and retweet your candidate narrative here. It's not going to come from out of me. So I'm going to make you to chill out, listen to them, and I'm going to be bringing you in here. Let me go to Minneapolis, where Sese Goyo is standing by, senior contributor of the Liberia Public Radio. Sese, you listen to Madam Cooper here, and it was a wide range of conversation we had. I know you were taking down notes, you as a scholar and educator here. I saw you smiling and all of that here. And in second thought of a presidency, do you see her as a competitive candidate comes 2023?
Well, how you all doing? Hey, my brother Alexander, how are you doing? Thank you to anybody, whoever steps up to help in the political system in Liberia. I know most times it's voluntary stuff, so appreciate you, even though I don't belong to your political party, but thank you for that. Hey, Pa George, nice seeing you. I did say the night before when we previewed this interview that I hadn't given a serious thought to Madam MacDELLA Cooper candidacy last time when she ran, simply because of all of the noise that was around, the distraction that was surrounding her, and not politically but personal life, and that I was going to be listening to learn. And absolutely, let me join Mr. Gibson to say that the Liberian people got provided good information today. I learned something new. I learned something new about Madame Cooper today. I am pleasantly surprised. I am happy for her intellect, for her ability to speak her mind, for her grasp of a lot of the issues and policy issues. And I like her way of being right there in your face right now. You're going to see me, you're going to hear me, and here is what I got to say. So I must say that I, at least for one, I'm a little bit more educated today by listening to her, at least about her. And I think the Liberian people have just been given another chance to look at other people. And I think she should be looked at very seriously.
She should be looked at very seriously. Let me go to Atlanta, Georgia, USA. Senior analyst Amos George is sitting by. Amos George, it looks like Madame Cooper plays in your narrative here. While they are running around with this old man, that's a word I'm borrowing here. For full disclosure, Ambassador Joseph Boyka, it is a disgrace. She was very forceful. I asked her whether she was taking a political race to alienate certain voting bloc of the Unity Party, and she didn't hold back as well. Let me get your take here, Ty, from this conversation here today here. Was there any news thing you learned out of Madame MacDELLA Cooper and for the presidency of the Republic of Liberia?
Yes. Oh, Cesar, how you doing? And Ellis, Mr. Ellis, how you doing?
I'm good. Good.
You know, I always say this thing. It's always good to be yourself. And Mrs. Cooper tonight show who she is. And she was part here on many of the issues, question that he asked her about Liberia. And I'm urging other women to emulate this young lady, because the issue of Liberia is not for one person. It is about the entire country. And when we are coming to address it, we should be very passionate and honest about what we're seeing, not to take sides about, oh, because this person, no. And I really admire her. I think this is the second time having her on this show since I've been with LPR. And today, she is a different person. Although, as Sister was saying, I did not really follow her during the last election because there were so many issues, personal issues, so I did not follow. But right now, I'm looking at one of those people who is very passionate about Liberia and putting spotlight on the issue that is in the country. And before I close on the note, this is what the people like Henry Costa, George Lobo are afraid of. These are the kind of women they are afraid of. Because these are the kind of women they go after to insult. Because the fear of these women, they are intimidated by these women. I saw Mr. Lobo yesterday going after Dr. Chinwe. Because the woman same thing Mrs. Cooper is saying. And George Lobo went on the raid to insult that woman, Dr. Cooper of Richardson. And I posted something that I said, because these guys, Henry Costa and Lobo, are intimidated by highly educated women within our community. So the only thing they can resort to is to go on Facebook and insult them.
All right.
And I'm glad that Mrs. Cooper came again to reinforce what other people are seeing other quarter.
All right, let's keep it succinct. The field seems to be crowded here. I see Ellis here going to be with us from time to time as a contributor. We want to say welcome you. I told you, don't mind these guys, what they are saying here. Tomorrow, don't be surprised when the Kingdom Caps are right here on this network. They are friendship with people just at the tip of the finger here. We want to welcome our senior contributor, Dr. George Toto, and our own MacDELLA is in the nation's capital of Monrovia. Before I bring you guys in, Ellis, let me just bring you here. You listen to your Kenan here. What is boiling within you? What is the feelings that you have developed? Having heard from her here this afternoon, what was lacking, you think?
Well, her expose was very excellent as usual. And my very first encounter with Madam Cooper, my capable political leader, was in 2013 when I left the Tottenham University to volunteer with her foundation, the MacDELLA Cooper Foundation. And when I first visited the foundation, I saw such incredible work of her own hand individually. So when I saw that up to $600,000 United States dollar investment right behind the airport in street children, providing opportunity for women and youth, that touched my heart. It accelerated my muscle, my intellectual muscle as a young man coming out at the time. in 2013 who want to see a progressive Liberia, who was, very more enthusiastic for practical development in human and people's life, not just, specific group of people. So I'm a that person who, believe in honesty. And since 2013, I've been, serving her foundation. And now I'm a consultant for the young people. And in 2020, we founded the movement for One Liberia got accredited. And I was the organizing chairman, and today I'm chairman 11 of the party. So I see her credible and honest to what she said, and the MOL remain independent towards the process. And our idea is that to provide quality leadership to Liberia, to provide service to our people, to uphold the rule of law, and to serve those marginalized people, those abandoned people, the young people, the unemployed youth and student community, our old folks, those people who are retired of government and deprived from their pension pay, those civil servants who serving the state and cannot get their pay on time. And even if it come on time, it's not enough to satisfy their family needs. So we are honest with what we are saying. We are sacrificing, there's no boast or there's no bribe to come on the show, to buttress my political leader. She was honest person for the length of time. I spent close to 10 years now working with her. Yeah, I know she's honest about what she's saying.
Talking about honest with what she's saying here before I spin around the room, I did hear her saying convention in the making. The democracy people must be challenged within the Beltway, within their own system. Is there any other person contestant in that convention, or is she now the front runner, or is she automatically is the standard bearer of MOL now?
We did it. We did our convention right after we got accredited in March 2020, August in the same year we went for convention, and she won as the standard bearer of the party.
Okay, all right, there you have it. That's the internet here. Please don't hold me responsible. Let me just get it. As soon as I see him at backstage, I'm going to bring here. Let me bring in MacDELLA. MacDELLA is our LPR guy. He's in the nation's capital of Monrovia, following this conversation as well. Mike, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. I'm glad you guys are seeing me. I'm not on the screen. I'm not seeing myself clearly.
Okay, yeah, that's the internet in your country, my man. Yeah, we're seeing you. Okay. So you okay? Just leave it as it is.
All right. So
okay. So yeah, let's hear from you here quickly. What is the latest in the country? And I believe you followed MacDELLA Cooper here. What can you tell us about MOL from your end? Who you know about her?
Well, it's a new political party. It's part of several political parties that were recently established here in Liberia, in that showing that they can get the seat that has been occupied by ex-soccer legend Mr. William, who many of them have said he hasn't done much to.
Do you have a headphone on, Mike? Your voice is distorted. We're getting feedback. You don't have a headphone?
No.
Okay, let me get you off the screen if you can find that. Let me bring in Dr. George Toto. Dr. Toto, are you there? Yeah, just on me.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good afternoon. We will not spend a lot of time here, but you listen to Madam Cooper here this afternoon. I believe you are following the program. What was your pick?
Yeah. First of all, let me say good afternoon. It was a very good discussion. As I said, for the last time, I've been following Madam Cooper, and I know the type of power she brings in the electoral process. She's very eloquent. She knows what she wants to accomplish, and she brings a lot of baggage of experience with her. But what they take I have, this is the politics. Politics are game or dead also too. You have to expect coming from anywhere. The last election, MacDELLA Cooper participated in the election, and there was some negative stigma attached to her who relations with President Weah. And I'm going to hear that same statement coming out again. Liberia, our society is like a conservative society we have here. People look at it very keenly. Or relations with President Weah, or people, the last election, people were saying that we now have a baby mom, baby pa.
thing. Yesterday, so we're going to hear this thing. I hope Madam Cooper is also prepared again, or maybe she will most of the challenges that will come before her when this statement they come up. But I think she did address some of those statements, also do some of the negative statements that were attached on the last election, which I didn't really hear some of it.
Okay, let me ask your counterpart here. This is why you're saying we have heard those things that we wanted to focus on the issue here. So let me bring in Sisi Goya here. He's your guy with Tier 1 say Gun Road. Is that going to be part of the strategy with the Gun Road campaign going after Madam Copart? And if that happens, would that be a good winning strategy if the campaign was to pivot in that direction instead of by maybe focusing on some of these priorities that we need? However, fair to mention, we also need to know in depth of these people. As long as you jump in the public, the means nothing is almost hidden. Sissy, do you think the campaign will move in that direction to that extent?
Well, so I don't speak for the LPP, and Councillor Gonglo is the candidate for the LPP, and I'm not a part of the political campaign, so I don't know how they will pivot. But to answer your question on another side, knowing the councillor, I don't think he will stoop that low. I don't think the councillor will stand for that because he's a man of honor and integrity. I think the councillor will be willing to engage Madam Cooper on the intellectual ideas, on the policy issues, and how do we take those things that we talk about and make them reality for the Liberian people? Because what tends to happen a lot in Liberian political sagas is that between policy and implementation, something gets lost in translation. And so if you think about the Propo agenda for prosperity that nobody knows how to articulate clearly because there's not one definition. It's almost like you're reading a verse in the Bible and it can be, explained differently based on who the pastor is and how much food he or she has had that day. The PADP cannot be explained and it has not been implemented as far as what was written on the paper. So it got lost in translation. And so what I think the councillor and the LPP will be looking for, and it's not just Madam Cooper, but every other political opposition, is to discuss the policy issues and keep it to the policies and the agendas and forget about, and that's why I was a little disappointed, by the way, in Madam Cooper. This ageism argument is not proper, it's not appropriate. Are we saying that were Joseph Boakai to be 20 years younger, the race will be over, everybody will vote for him? Because then that would take out the age argument. And I think that is a wrong path to go down. Because now when you start calling in ages, this is Liberia, mind you, people will start like what Dr. Toto was talking about, bringing in other things. And by the way, I am disappointed at people who would try to just pin this woman as George Weah baby ma, as if to say she got nothing else she's done in life. As if to say even having a child is a problem, right? My mom was somebody's baby mom, right? And I don't think because she had a child, so that should limit her. So I don't think the LPP should go that route. I know Councillor Gonglo very well. I don't think he's a man that would allow those kind of things. But we should be able to discuss what is the difference between what's his name, Joseph Boakai's Unity Party and Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf's Unity Party. What is the difference in political ideology? Let us hold the Unity Party to account for that, to tell us that, versus talking about his age, right? And so I think that for me, that was a little disappointing. I understood where she spoke from, that she loved the man and he's elderly, he's in his sunset years, and she expects him to sit and enjoy. But I think this ageist argument is played out, and I don't think it's appropriate. The last thing, and then I learned, is that when you ask Madam Cooper about her 15 county strategies, and she talked about they just want to be going places and making noise. If you are a candidate that got about 0.75% of the vote in 2017, which is about 11,600 plus votes, I think you should be everywhere making any noise at this point. And that's what I gave to Cummings. When Cummings came with the 7% that people keep talking about, Cummings realized that there was a need to stay engaged and increase. You can't be doing stop and go when you don't have the name recognition like a George Weah or like a Vice President Boakai, who has been in the race for a long time. So I think they should organize really fast and really quick and do like what Councilor Gonlo is doing these tours, going out and meeting these people and talking to them, instead of just sitting in Monrovia and waiting for 6 months to elections, because you're not going to improve from 0.75% to much if that is your strategy.
Okay, ANC supporters and sympathizers at Jennington Dolake is also joining this conference here. Gibson is back with us. We're going to spin it the little we can. But Amos George, let me just bring you in here. There's a divided house here. Sister is saying this age thing here, that's not going to be a good thing here. But she speaks her mind. But you're one of those who also say, hey, this guy, he needs to enjoy his retirement. Is that a sloping political line here if they go that route?
Yeah, it is. I have always said, I don't talk about Boakai age. I talk about the strength, his strength. So I'm not going to talk about his age, but I said, whatever you have there.
Let me hold you right there. Let me hold you right there. It's about to go down the wire. I will be right back. Well, the conversations is on the rise. The road to the 2023 presidential election, this building behind me. Joining us here from Garden State, Taya is a strong supporter, and she will be a contributor here as well on the Liberia Public Radio. And I'm telling you guys, you're the man, because she's going to be the only leader I'm signing this warning right now. This sort of far-right ideology behavior, good Liberia is not here with us. Dr. Keman Turanka is joining us from New Jersey. Is a strong supporter of Madam MacDELLA Cooper, making her first appearance right here on the Liberia Public Radio. Here is a beautiful Sunday here as well. Okay. Welcome, Madam Tukarat here. Your candidate were here. I'm not sure whether you are listening, but I know it was quite interesting. So, yeah, Amon, just carry on, then I'm going to be both of them.
So that had not been my point with Honorable Boakai age. I always say about his strength, because the job entails of physical ability. So that's all I will say. But so the issue here, and I sort of said we should be treating the issue. At the same time, there are something we must question. And if we are going to question somebody, we must be very respectful of what we're asking, especially our female sisters. You can ask someone an honest question and not being disrespectful. So if someone want to ask of her path, they can do it. But just being mindful and respectful of her. That's why I always say. And one of the questions he asked her, and she said, hey, she asked Councilor Gongo not to fire the lady on her campaign that made that statement inviting the AFL. And I asked Mr. Sister, boy, what do you stand on this thing? This statement made by Mrs. Swamper.
Okay, Sister, we're being very definitive yet. I want to come back to earlier, but let's welcome Dr. Turanka is here with us. I hope she's getting up. Are you hearing us?
Problem.
Are you hearing me now?
Is the doctor using Lone Star Network in New Jersey? My first shot fire.
Dr. Turanka, are you hearing me?
People coming on.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Are you hearing me? I think.
Okay.
Are you hearing me now?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. I told you the guys already they start firing, but that's politics. Okay. Good evening. Good afternoon. Good to be here. Happy Sunday. This is the Liberia Public Radio. Good to have you here this afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. How are you?
Good. Okay, let's just get a little bit. Everybody, they are doing okay. Let's get a little brief intro, and then we're going to get to the conversation. Who is Dr. Keman Turanka?
Dr. Keman Turanka is a very strong woman who appreciates good issues. I just got ordained as a mentor. I'm an attorney as well. I own my own office. I have stepped back from practice right now. I'm not practicing because I wanted to spend some time in ministry doing outreach for children. I am married, but most importantly, I'm not a politician. Don't know too much about politics, but I know what's good for me, and I know what makes sense. So when Madam Cooper, when I met Madam Cooper through her philanthropic work and work that she's doing in Liberia, and that's how I got connected to her with a lot of the school and work that she was doing with the people in Liberia helping. Exactly. So that's who I am. Just a humble person, just trying to see what makes sense in our country. That's all.
Ooh, I love that. We'll try to see what makes sense. Okay, Ellis, let me just bring you here. You listen to CC. Welcome. This is a Liberia Public Radio. That's another way of giving back to the community here. You heard CC here. When were you as a party chairman, when will we begin to see visuals of you and your candidate going in those battleground states or every angle in Liberia, Blofa, Grangida, Maryland, Nima? When will we see images coming from there that Madam MacDELLA Cooper, party chairman, executive, their meetings, electorates to make the argument? It's just insufficient coming on LPR, going on Spawn, going on front page here. That's the push here. When will this argument, when will we see it being visualized?
Well, thank you so much. Since our leadership, we coupled with the COVID, we've been challenged with the issue of fundraising and other issues internally as a party. And because by law, political party, a registered political party in the Republic of Liberia should generate revenue through fundraising, donation, due payment, and from Liberian citizens and non Liberian citizens cannot contribute to the party, budgeting of resources. And then so there was some difficulty with the National Executive Committee on that. And so we have a very good plan, and right now we are embarking on a fundraiser headed by the political leader, and we are very confident of starting very soon with our good strategy that we have that we may not disclose yet on this platform.
Let me just
But we will start very soon. We'll start very soon. I'm foreseeing December that we'll be all in the train. We embark on our grassroots campaign and getting the people aware of the message of Madam Cooper presidential bid for the party angle. But I'm very confident of having our budgetary aspect getting resolved very soon.
Okay, very soon here. Let me see here. Is Dr. Turanka's position better? I want to bring her in. Okay, Dr. Turanka, let me get you into this Sunday January we are having here, talking point conversation here. As you know, Alexander Benedict Cummings for ANC, Ambassador Joseph Boyka, they're all here. You here in the States here with all. Are we going to see Councillor Tiawan Gonglo is one of the candidates, is coming back again? Are we going to see Madam Cooper here also coming in the U.S. at some point in time to connect with the diaspora? Is that something either you or Ellis can speak to that? Are we going to see that as well? Because diaspora seems to be the breeding ground to financially equip and connect with Liberian as well. Are we going to see that happening? Do you think?
Hi, Alex. Alex, how are you?
Hi, madam. Hi, Dad.
Well, that would absolutely make sense. I would defer to Alex being the one of the chairpersons of the party, but that will make the most effective sense, especially with the financial situation going on in Liberia right now, to have the people in the diaspora stand financially behind her. And I think that we are more than willing and ready to do so. Although around the entire world, every country is experiencing inflation, but I think that would be the better and best strategy in the instance. But yes, we'll absolutely see that, and we're all gearing ourselves up in the different cities to be able to stand behind her financially, because we have a cost that needs to be projected, and we know that in most elections it cannot be unless you have the financial backing. Alex, I can defer to you to see what decisions have been made on that sense, but that makes sense to me.
Okay, quickly, Ellis, before I go to Jennifer here and Mike, are there conversations in the making to also have Madam Cooper coming in the U.S. here. That's a route here anyway to Garden City here and other places here. Are there plans in the making where she's going to be coming in the U.S. to make her case with the Liberian in the diaspora as well?
Sure, significantly. She has been doing that, and we are working on to do a massive one, and that the Liberian diaspora community can be aware. And as a party, we already have our plan, and the madam is doing significant effort in connecting the diaspora team, the MOL diaspora team, soliciting your support, voting support, soliciting financial, potentials and support. So we'll come out soon. There's plan. There are plans in the making. So we'll come out soon with our announcement.
Okay, we'll come out soon is relative. Let me bring in Jennifer here. Is from the ANC column. Jennifer, good afternoon.
Yes, good morning here in California.
Okay, yeah, good morning. You know, there's a change. Just a little one here. Okay, so I'm not sure, but I know you did follow the conversation with Madam Cooper. Madam Cooper is calling on the Unity Party Ambassador Joseph Boyka to, you know what, surrender. You need to enjoy your retirement. That seems to narrow the scope of the conversation now with Alexander Cumming herself here. Do you think from the ANC, under the ANC bill, should they start going, reaching out to Madam Cooper to be someone that they can incorporate in the alliance, even though she was very much definitive? She's looking for it. She's not willing to go number 2. But is that strategy? Is that something you guys going to work towards?
Like I told you on this platform before, the Madam Cooper is our sister. We were all in the trenches in Bapuru, Norman Datono, campaigning for Botokane, senator. And she has a very good relationship with Mr. Cummings, and we appreciate that. We could hope, or we hope maybe in the long run, but we respect her decision to contest the presidential process, and it is up to the MOL to keep engaging. Our focus, it is not our opposition and colleagues, it is mainly on the dreadfulness and irresponsible leadership of this government. But to speak to the issue of age is very important, and it is important not to take it away because our constitution has not labeled anyone to not contest based on age. However, Mr. Amos George said it right on the basis of strength, physical strength, agility, based on the too many problems we have. If you bring in strength, then you bring in age. Age goes along with strength. The more younger you are, the more agility and strength you have. It is clear. Say you don't need to shake your head. No 80-year-old person can fight me physically. It makes no sense. You don't have to go into that conversation.
I can give you 3 black belt holders by 80
Hold on one second. We're going to come to you. You will respond.
Yeah. Especially so for public pronouncement for Ambassador Boyka himself that he carried pacemaker. So he had just found the thing even worse. So I won't see that black belt holder that carry pacemaker and that is 80 years old that can fight me physically. So I'll wait for that.
Okay. But yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Jennifer.
Yeah. But the thing here is that we need strength in the process because we need somebody who can counter check on his officials. We need somebody who can move rigorously. The reason why you see Mr. Cummings have been cut crossing the nation since 2018, it is not only because he has the resources. Ambassador Boyka has the resources. He worked as vice president with a budget of millions of dollars. But the reason is that he does not have that strength like Alex will have. Come for ANC Global Convention in Washington, D.C., get back home, go to Nima County, go to Grand Bassa County, come back, go to District 1, come back, go to the county, go to this county. He will not have that strength as Alex will have. And I think that is the background that others are speaking to. And so without this county Ambassador Boyka, I think the age issue, like I said in my last comment, it is not unconstitutional. In the wisdom of the referendum 2011, it was judged by Liberians in the judiciary process that at age 70 or 75, you will not be able to make rightful decision. So the Liberian population voted against a chief justice being at age 75. That was the decision of the Liberian people at that time.
Okay.
So can I make a real quick pushback to my brother? Because the ANC has forgotten. The ANC is quick to forget. You guys are the alternative. Present your argument to the Liberian people based on policies and check that with Joseph Boakai. Forget about this age thing. The last time we checked, we are not in weightlifting competition. Mr. Boakai does not need to be able to lift to weight 25 pounds. Your Buka dancer that can lift a lot of pounds is not doing anything, right? So you're talking about you ANC and cross-cutting the country. The major reason why you're doing that is because your guy does not have the same name recognition as a Joseph Boakai. So yes, he needs to do that. Joseph Boakai is not trying to get new into the political system. His name is already established. Remember here during our elections when President Biden refused to go out to campaign. He was in his basement. He didn't have to go everywhere because he had a name recognition, and he won. And so, what I am still waiting for the likes of Jonathan is to come back with an argument that tells us what is the difference on policy issues. Where do you hold Mr. Boakai lacking on policy? Forget about his strength. Let him maybe live in his bedroom and still get elected. So you're telling us that if Boakai was 10 years younger, Kumis would not be running for election?
Okay, let me
fight him on the politics and on the policy. So you're going to run to his age and his health and pacemaker. By the way, do some research. There are a lot of people who live longer with pacemakers than a lot of you. So do some research on that. Just start running with that narrative about the pacemaker piece.
Let me hold you right there. We're getting feedback from you, from your son, but go ahead, Dr. Toto.
Yeah, to add what she saying, if we want to run a clear campaign, we want to focus on policy instead of attacking, let's forget about the age limit. Because even at the general has a negative stigma apart from age attack to you also too. If we bring all the things out, like I was saying about MacDELLA Cooper, will just be attacked everywhere. And then
so that question, will you forget about that too as well?
Come again?
Will you also forget that? Now you are telling us to undo the age, and you were talking about Madam Cooper as well. Will you also forget that?
Well, definitely. So I would just give a reference to 2017 election when Madam Cooper took part in that election. That stigma that was brought in concerning her. So going forward, we want to focus on policy. Not forget about attacking age and all, because the general public will talk about the left side also too, which I think is not supposed to be this. Not to be discussed, that's what also too. So that focus.
Lifestyle is not fat, age are fat.
Okay, all right. Let's have a horse in order here. Okay, let me bring in Dr. Takara, and then I will go to Ellis. Dag, are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, your lady, your candidate is in a race. There are two opposing forces now arguing. One say, well, but in fact, she also made a point here that he needs to be going for retirement, considering your age and all that is unfolding to the length of time that you said. But in your own right now, what do you think are going to be the workable strategy for your campaign so as not to alienate a certain voting bloc?
Well, it can,
when I think she's frozen. Okay, then let me just Alice, you want to? All right.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Sir.
Yeah, I think maybe phone call or coming. Yeah, go ahead. I'm not hearing.
She's nice to say she can hear.
Yeah, I think this audio got corrupted. I don't know what I
called her and it threw off her stuff.
Was that a phone call coming? So most of the time these things is okay.
Okay, I'm having a pretty weak internet connection today because it rained here where I am, so apologize for that. But I think if I heard your question, what is going to be the workable strategy
Yes.
for our candidate? I think for any candidate, really, the first and foremost thing is to get to the heart and the minds of the people. And that's what I think is lacking. That's why politicians fall off the grid. Every time we only stoke what their feelings and emotions are when we're into election seasons. And MacDELLA has always been a humanitarian. So right off the bat, the Liberian people must know that she is going in with the heart of a humanitarian for them. She's been given to them massively over the last 20 years of her life, and structuring schools and taking care of girls and young people. So with that said, and that's why the people go out and vote, because they want candidate who would take care of them in a time of crisis. We all enjoy the pleasure of having leadership in this country when we fall into financial crisis. For example, when COVID hit, or we're in inflation, they have a plan. They have a backup plan to be able to pad the middle class, so that we can be able to find some relief in a time of crisis. Because you have those candidates, the leaders who have the heart of humanity. So right off the bat, I think strategically, I think she already had it, because she's already wired as a humanitarian. So that's going to make sense to get to the people and let them know that things that are void in your lives, we are here to implement those kinds of changes that's going to make life a little bit better for you in this country. And just as and I don't want to regress back on that argument of age. I think it comes up even in elections in other countries, because these elections are pretty grueling. It's a grueling process. We want candidates that are healthy, whether they're 80 years old, 70, 60, 50, that are healthy. I don't know the health of any other candidate, so I cannot speak on it. But I think for the life of the country, so that when you get in power or you take leadership, we don't have to now focus and be distracted by health issues, because it causes a lot of problems. It causes you have to change government, you have to implement different things when the leader is not physically in shape and ready to go. So I think that's why that conversation comes up a bit. But as I think Jonathan had said, I don't think age is not a requirement. However, I think every candidate needs to gauge themselves and know where they physically are at in terms of their health, and disclosing any health issues, because it's important for the people to know, are we going to get a candidate that is sick? Even though your exterior might not, posture it, but we want a candidate that are going to be strong and carry on the weight of what's happening in Liberia. But I think the strategy is pretty clear for MacDELLA. She's a humanitarian, and that puts her clearly into the posture of what our country needs, a humanitarian that's going to cater to the needs of our people.
Okay, I think you had a great piece of layer on it, and not just only talk about the age without talking the ramifications of the downsides. Everything get a downside of everything here, which of course health-wise, and people doing something. Somebody calling from Nigeria. I don't know the one. People. Okay, let me see here. I'm not sure what that. Okay. All right, I will go to it. But Gibson, I saw you moving when Dr. Turanka was saying. So would there be a little bit tweet in your narrative, in your political conversation, not just on the age, but you also want to talk about the downsides of what it comes with, or maybe, like here, you gotta get a medical report, up-to-date medical report for your physical fitness.
That's right.
When these kind of conversations are better in details, then we know. But when we just say, okay, because you're 70-year-old, you're 100-year-old, don't run. Some 70-year-old, 60-year-old are healthy more than even people of us like 24 years old. I'm just kidding. So, Gibson, would there be a little bit tweet in your conversation?
Yeah, a little bit. The essence of democracy is free competitions of ideas by political actors, group, and association as to how they think the country should be run, especially at the higher level, at the level of presidency. And so, and each political party and political leader have a divergent view as to how they can put forth the right policy and to better impact the lives of the people. When it comes to age, and energy, the presidency require more energy. It also implies that if a man is older, energy also declines. And the presidencies require energy, require a lot of energy, require mental energy, require physical energy. You have to talk a lot, you have to negotiate, you have to be an independent thinker, to take actions. And so energy matter. Though our constitution do not provide what age to contest, but these things imply. So you need people with the eloquence, people with the energy, to keep the country running. So I think my political leader were coming from that direction about accelerating more energy on the workings of getting the people life better and the physical infrastructure of the country.
All right, we're going to be wrapping it up here, but I know one thing the opposition do have in common is, I could be wrong, not having ever had my shadow here, to see this president coming to a one-term, or maybe to be a one-term president, equivalent President George Weah. But
Absolutely.
but there is still a divided house within the oppositions, and you here as different representative or personal, either by the party or individuals, which is okay. So I want to go around the room before we wrap up here. With all this bickering that is ongoing, what should the opposition be doing now in terms of to solidify their political grip, to come together? Is there any possible way, scenario that the opposition can come together in order to take on the ruling establishment, the Congress for Democratic Change? Let me start with Dr. Toto. Let's do it 1 minute each, and for us to call it a day. What should the opposition be doing now if the president, the equipment to be a one-term president?
Yeah, I think what the opposition need to be doing right now, they need to be having a strong networking going on right now behind the scene, putting some best strategies together. Because definitely the first round election, everybody want to go in. But the second round, good network will be done. So I think this is where the candidate will focus on right now, because we are seeing CPP have feel already. We want to work together. They have another CPP or ANC heading it. We can see they just need to start working together now, because if all they can try to work together, I mean, definitely will be a victory for the CDC government. They have a strong networking to start convince right now from behind the scene to take on the second round, because Madam Cooper said it. She's not going to go for as vice president. She want to be the first one in battle. But whether she will cross the first one, that's the thing we should look at, because we know our past performance for the last election was not good. The records are there, and that's why all the other Alexander coming also to the calling 7%. So every one of them there, but we could go to the second round. That's where the strong networking has to be done.
Okay, thank you so much. The man from the far right, Atlanta, Georgia. You said we shouldn't give President, the Liberian people should not give second term to Dr. George Weah, and the list of laundry is huge. But yet and still, there's a divided house within the opposition. What should be their focus strategy now, so that ordinary Liberians say yes? But here we are. There's a political bloodbath with ANC, Unity Party, Liberty Party segment of Nyombi Kanga Lawrence, Hassan Belite. All of that comes up to be a unresolved, like a cold case, political cold case. What should the opposition be doing right now?
I mean, I have said it in the opposition but they have to continue to talk, and at some point, some parties will emerge, because that's the only way you'll get rid of George Weah, because this guy is terrible. Another 6 years of George Weah will be driving people into the death chamber of Liberia in terms of hardship. So the political party must put their act together. I know they are talking behind closed door. I know this political party talks behind closed door, but everything will not be in the public. At a later time, they will merge. Some party was merged to take on this devil, this boomer guy standing in the bush there. But just to close on this, I'm still waiting to hear from Councillor Gongo Kim about the statement his official made about asking the overthrow that government, because this is the first test of time of Councillor Gongo. And I asked Mr. Cecil Boyer, who is not support of the camp, but to play follow up with them.
Oh boy, that's an indictment being placed on Paul Sissy now. You say he's not our player, but Sissy will respond for himself. Okay, Jonathan. When I, Janitor,
Yes.
your guy is all over. Alex Kumin now is taking a complete, he almost like a surveyor now, surveying the land in Liberia as if the work of the Ministry of Lands and Mass or public work, all over the place right now. I'm not sure. So what should he be doing? Should he take the lead to kind of bring people together? How do you think he can cement this relationship with Unity Party if he's to get to the finishing line?
Firstly, we will keep engaging other political parties, like I stated clearly here, that Madam Mandela Cooper have been a very good interpersonal person with Mr. Cummings. She has the right to contest, and she will contest. There is nowhere in our political history that all opposition parties have come together to defeat a ruling establishment, not even the CDC that came together, three political parties. You still had the ANC, you still had other political parties, like the Liberty Party. And so we will wish that political parties will come together, but it would not take away from us our responsibility to keep engaging like Mr. Cummings has done over the period of time. I'd like to also close by saying that name recognition is a contributing factor to winning election. But an aggressive political actors must keep engaging his people. That's why I want to change the traditional politicking where people sit at their house until election time before they move around because they don't want to spend, they don't want to engage the people, they don't want the people to ask them questions. And so they wait until that time. I like to say that Ambassador Bwaka has a right under his age to contest. The issue of health is personal. No one should say that somebody health would be an absolute disadvantage to them.
No. And that's my opinion.
No, I get what the end of that.
No, don't mind because Sese is injecting intimidation now, man. Don't think you want to appease him here. But Boyka is seeking for the higher office of the land. We see here.
I'm coming to it. Number one, he was never placed AK-47 to his head for any other reason. You are not harassed. People only saw that there's fatigue in him physically, and so they wanted to know what is in him inwardly. And coincidentally, he stated it clearly. It became a public conversation. And we wish him well, we wish him long life. It is not our place to think otherwise. But what we say is that are Liberians lacking people of wisdom, of agility and strength, of education capacity and policy to implement, for which we have to go for the last person? I think we are not lacking. That is why Councillor Gonglo contesting, Madam Mandela Cooper contesting. If I not prefer the Omen Braga, who does not have the agility, except Sese is saying that Omen Braga has that agility better than Councillor Gonglo, and write Councillor Gonglo up, then the conversation will come. I'm not even talking about Mr. Cummings. So we have so much human resources to our capacity for which we would want to thread on something that is already faded away, and we have to let go and have it go in peace. Thank you
so much, Janitor. Okay, let me bring you Alice. She is the only lady in the house, so we're going to treat you like a queen, yeah, but I guarantee you, I'm not sure how long they can go. These guys are being nice here today, but tomorrow we'll be surprised here because they're going to be here. So, Alice, what is your message here? How is your campaign, your standard bearer, Madam Cooper here? Is there any alliance? She wasn't really that crystal clear, but is there a pathway for her to get to the finishing line as to be elected as president of the Republic of Liberia? Let's turn this camera off and be honest here with ourselves. Is there any possible pathway for her standing alone by herself to be elected president of the Republic of Liberia?
Thank you. The MOL political party, under the capable leadership of our political leader, Madam Mandela Cooper, will remain an independent and strong political party in the opposition bloc. And we are not a regime collaborator, we remain the opposition bloc. And the MOL political party is desperate for change, not power. And also, I hear people saying about negotiation. It should come with respect. It should come with respect and on a balanced discussion at the table. You should respect people. If you want to go into collaboration, you should respect people. So I think we respect our colleagues in the opposition bloc, but equally so we have the potential for the presidency, and we believe in the capability of our political
So
leader
now you're talking
that
something
we
here
can
quickly
take the
here.
presidency. So
Yeah,
the end will justify the means. I speak like MacDELLA that says the end will justify the means, and we are capable of going to the process.
So it comes with respect. Will you be, if anybody wants that political alliance, will you be making some great political demands, and what could that be?
Sure, we should put a potential. We should put a potential at the table. There should be tangibles on the table, because when I see alliance, it's talking about what you bring to the table, your capability. So in politics, we discuss number. If we look at your screen, we should also look at your potential in terms of raising funds, because it takes resources to carry your strategy. This then it takes money. So collaboration is a process, not just something to talk about more and say, Mr. Cummings come and John Manakupo. There should be a process. There should be respect.
Okay.
So I see it as a whole process, and the MOL remain independent political party in the opposition bloc.
Okay, the MOL remain independent. Let me go to one of the independent voices, Sese Goya, even though there's a full declaration he supports Tiawan Gonglo, but he's a snake in the grass. He buy his own people, and sometimes they don't like it. So, Sese, let's seek a common ground here, if you will, if it is possible here. Say it was Joseph Boyka, Ellis Kuhlman, MacDELLA Couport, Yombli Kanga Lawrence, Hassan Belite. They were in this conference here, and you are being asked to chair this conference and bring a peaceful resolution. That's a difficult one that I'm putting you in here. But how can the opposition solidify their political grip in order to, if they say they don't want George Weah? But from what I see now, I don't see it happening if it remains like this. Am I going on the contrary?
I think so. You're asking me to cook bitter leaf soup, but you're giving me salt to pour inside. The ingredients do not work for the soup you're asking me to cook. How can you give me a Musa ability and you tell me to cook a bitter leaf soup? Get I want to ANC people. Jonathan know how to cook that one better. And for I'm gonna answer Jonathan. And Mr. John, I'll come back to you. The question on hand is, how do the political parties, the opposition political parties, unseat the current nightmare we have in Liberia? And I think the way to do that is to go out and discuss policies. And so my guy, Councillor Tiawan Gonglo, will never catch himself being in an argument about ageism or about sexism. He will discuss the policy issues, what makes him different and well-suited for the presidency than Joseph Boakai, irrespective of Joseph Boakai's age and his health record. We're talking policy. We're talking how are we going to better the lives of our people when we come to state power. So that's why we will lay that out any given day against the likes of King Midas of Division. You know, when we read that story back in high school, right? King Midas, anything you touch turn to gold, except Cummings, anything he touches divides. He touched the Liberty Party, they divide. He touched the ANC, it divides. He touched the NPP, they divide. So besides talking about the King Midas of division, right, let's talk about the issues. How are we going to make sure that rice, our staple, our national staple, is not in scarcity? How are we going to ensure that inflation, when they do affect our people, that we have a way to prime the economic pump to ensure that our people are not hurt that bad? How are we having those arguments? How are those arguments being proffered out there to our people so that we're not here talking about somebody having a pacemaker? Joseph Numa Boakai, I think, should be applauded for giving the Liberian people access to his health records to say, I have a pacemaker. You make the decision. Let's wait for the likes of Cummings, whose group has been pushing this, to release his health records. You shouldn't have to wait for us to put AK-47 to your head. You are the alternative. Lead as an alternative, right? So I'm still waiting for Jonathan and Amos Joyce and the ANC to tell us what are the policy differences. Forget about the man age. Tell the Liberian people how is it that you differ, you disagree with the policies of Joseph Nima Boakai. By the way, Joseph Nima Boakai had pacemaker when he came second, when your guy came in a distant fourth. So let's be fair here. He had all the agility, he had all the strength. Kumi was weightlifting, he was doing muscles, and Joseph Nima Boakai was still having the pacemaker and he still beat him. So forget that argument. And the last piece to you, Amos George, I don't know if you followed the last time I was on here. You know me, man. I don't bite. I come out and I say exactly the way I see it. I have called for the immediate removal.
I just asked you, oh man, I know you. You know me.
No, but I said it the last time on the show. I asked for the immediate removal of Tyler by the council. I condemn in the strongest term that tweet that called for an insurrection in Liberia. I still up to now, I'm against that. I condemn it. And every peace-loving, sensible Liberian will condemn that. The only way we change government in Liberia should be through the Constitution.
All right. Let's come to our queen. Is her first appearing here. I think she's saying the firework, how we do it here on LPR. Dr. Kimanta Turanka will be a contributor here on the Liberia Public Radio. We are excited to have you here. Let's enjoy you into this volatile and convoluted conversation that we are having, and potentially will be still be having here. Let's make you a chief negotiator here to put the opposition together. You're hearing Amos Joy, you heard Dr. Toto, you heard Jennifer Dolake, you heard your own Gibson, and you heard Cesar Goya. He's not holding back, biting his own candidate as well. How can you put these guys in a conference room and come to a conversation? Look, on a serious note, what should the opposition be doing? If they say they do not want President George Weah to be re-elected, what should they be doing?
The first and foremost thing that we have to understand, and as Alex pointed out, the opposition must first have an in-depth respect for each and every candidate that is in the opposition. I mean, if you don't have respect for the other party, you are not, it's going to create division. The second thing is we must also understand the goals and the agenda. At the end of the day, every party wants to win this race. So although we have one agenda, which is we do not want the current government to continue for the next 6 years, but every individual has also their individual agenda that they're going to push forward in this whole race. So as much as we are in the opposition bloc, we also have the other opposition parties have to respect what I am standing on, the platform that Madam Cooper is standing on. That's the first and foremost thing. The second agenda is we have a collective agenda. We don't want the government to move forward. However, we're going to respect the fact that the other candidates have their platforms that they're standing on. Secondly, Madam Cooper, it's not only going to get on the attack of the other candidates. She has a platform, and she has a platform that she's going to push forward. The opposition party must push forward their platform. It is not enough for you to just cry that, oh, we don't want the government to continue. You must have a
Ooh. Wow.
But I'm having internet problems. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Yeah.
So that would be my first and foremost advice if you were to all sit at the table. I said, look, gentlemen, gentle lady, we need to have respect for the platforms that you're going to be standing on to push it. The second thing is we understand that every individual party are going to push their agenda, and we're going to push it, and we're there to fight. I'm not here to pacify you. We're not here to hold hands and do kumbaya. We have to understand this is a political race. At the end of the day, we are here to push the agenda so that we can go into power and do what we said we would do for these people. So we're not on the kumbaya race at the end of the day. But here it is. If you do not stand united in respecting the platform of all the other candidates, guess what? The sitting government will have a shot to divide and conquer you. They will bust through you, and next thing you know, he is going to silently win for the next 6 years. I'm going to tell you this. Donald Trump was not probably going to win this election until COVID came. When COVID came, what Joe Biden was doing propelled him to be it because there was a crisis. We have a crisis in Liberia, which is the rice crisis, how they are handling it. Instead of all the opposition probably, arguing amongst themselves, because that's going to be the opening gateway for the sitting party to go and bust right through and divide everybody. And next thing you know, they look like they are better because they're standing united. So I think respect, number one, and two, understanding that everyone is going to be able to push their agenda. But the last thing I want to say And what I've noticed, and I said this, I'm not a politician. I've never rarely followed politics until I took political science in college. But what I do notice in our country now is the lack of education. We are very emotional people, Liberians. So we follow what is the emotional trend. And I think that's what MacDELLA Cooper is trying to do now. It's almost like reprogramming the minds of the people so that you can think highly of yourself and not think that you are so less that people can just buy your votes with rice or food. No, you're worth more than that. She is giving you, she was in a conference that I did, and she dissected our Constitution so effectively. She made a case on the Constitution. That is the governing body, that is the governing law, or what's governed our country. We don't follow it. Typically, no one really follows it to the T. So here it is. Educate the people and give them their self-esteem back, and they will make the right choice. What she said to me is, I don't care who wins. I'm in it to win, but at the end of the day, as long as the current government does not go, I'm happy. I'm willing to work with whoever. So once she said that, it told me that here is a mature person who is in it to push the agenda for the people, but she's also willing to be able to work with those people who are strong enough and say, if I cannot win, we can join together to push this sitting government out of power.
Whoa, what a hectic Sunday here. Ladies, gentlemen, Dr. Turankat, we welcome in the house of LPR, Ellis, Sisse. I see everybody moving, but this conversation is going to be going on. I want to thank you. One person that is not here, I'm not sure, he's noted of always putting people in that sort of column is the liberal progressive, Samson Branto. He's one of our anchor hosts, but he's going to be coming here. I see him writing, tweeting here. Wow. I don't know what that means. I don't know his interpretation, but believe me, when he comes, you're going to see him. Very interesting. Well, gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for your time this evening. We're going to be having these conversations for your expertise, and that's a way of going by. Having respect for one another, I can guarantee that we saw that Donald Trump, little Michael, Lion Tear, weekdays, that all of those going to come, but what do they have the ability to mend those fences? That's crucial. I want to thank you so much, guys, for your time this summit, and that's how we're going to bring the program to an end here today. Ellis, thank you so much joining us from inside.
Thank you.
Sister Goya, Minnesota. Senator in California. Dr. Toto is in Pittsburgh. Amos Joyce is in Atlanta, and Dr. Turanka right there from the Garden City.
Let me just point something real quick, Dr. Turanka. You and I are the only contributors, so we're together. Yeah, everybody else got analysts on their name. So
don't
like contributors.
Dr. Turanka, please don't follow Cesar Boyer. Please.
Don't follow him.
I will erase you. Don't follow that man.
Don't follow here. Okay, I will not follow him. Wise counsel.
What sort of college branch is Cesar extending here? You fuck here, one gonglo.
Let me see who will take me under their wing, because I'm very new to all of this. So
Nature already spoken for you, Dr. Turanka. Look on the screen. It says Sisi Goya, LPR contributor. Dr. Tema Turanka, LPR contributor. You see Jonathan, the ANC man, the analyst. You see the other ANC man up there by Georgia analyst.
Dr. Turanka, listen, Dr. Turanka. He's not being honest here. He's not
for you to try to
he know this thing go by station, but he tried to blank on that we are so special. No, it's not that. We are with you. Stay with me. You will see me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You made your case very well. You made your case well.
Thank you so much, guys. All right, thank you, gentlemen. That's how we're going to leave it for the day. Thank you so much, and looking forward having all of you back here again at some point in time. Well, I'm Alfonso Ziensot of the Liberia Public Radio and LPR TV. This is how we want to draw the curtain down here today. Join me next Sunday. We're going to be having an author of the bestseller. He's a world journalist winner. Will be appearance on the Liberia Public Radio. Liberty Hijack, the histories of how the loss of liberty divides Liberia. The in-depth is something that you don't know unfolding in your own country. I am Alfonso Zienso. Have a pleasant evening. Bye-bye. much for your time, and that's how we're going to leave it. I'm Alfonso Zienso. By God's will, we're going to be back here with more editions. Have a pleasant day. Bye-bye. Is it November 1? Yeah. No, I think that's an error. I know he has a shift that I need to correct. No, I have to check it out. It approved November 10, you said? You're not even November.